नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय प्रभुपाद की जय हो। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन, यमुना तीर वनचारी, यमुना तीर वनचारी, यमुना तीर वनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा गिरिधारी राधे, जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे, जय राधा गोविंद राधे। जय जगन्नाथ, जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा, गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय, निताय गौरा हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल। जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद, जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव गुरुदेव, जय जय गुरुदेव। जय प्रभुपाद की जय हो। Today I am doing Shri Krishna Kripa Kataksh Stotram, written by Shri Adi Guru Shankaracharya ji. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते, गोपेश गोपिका कांत श्री राधा कांत नमस्तुते। भजे भजे कमंडनम समस्त पाप खंडनम, स्वभक्त चित्त रंजनम सदेव नंदनंदनम, सुपिच्छ गुच्छ मस्तकं सुनाद वेणु हस्तकं अनंगरंग सागरं, नमामि कृष्ण नागरं। मनोजगर्वमोचनं विशाललोललोचनं, विधूतगोपशोचनं नमामि पद्मलोचनम्। करारविन्दभूधरं स्मितावलोकसुन्दरं महेन्द्रमालधारणं नमामि कृष्णवारणम्। कदम्बसूनुकुण्डलं सुचारुगण्डमण्डलं प्रजाङ्गनेकवल्लभं नमामि कृष्णदुर्लभम्। यशोदया समोदया सगोपया सनन्दया युतं सुखेकदायकं नमामि गोपनायकम्। सदैव पादपङ्कजं मदीयमानसे निजं दधानमुक्तमालकं नमामि नन्दबालकम्। समस्तदोषशोषणं समस्तलोकपोषणं समस्तगोपमानसं नमामि नन्दलालसम्। भुवोपरावतारकं भवाब्धिकर्णधारकं यशोमते किशोरकं नमामि चित्तचोरकम्। दगन्तकान्तभङ्गिनं सदा सदालिसङ्गिनं दिने दिने नवं नवं नमामि नन्दसम्भवम्। गुणाकरं सुखाकरं कृपाकरं कृपापरं सुरद्विनिष्णिकन्दनं नमामि गोपनन्दनम्। नवीनगोपनागरं नवीनकेलिलम्पटं नमामि मेघसुन्दरं तडित्प्रभालसत्पटम्। समस्तगोपमोहनं हृदम्बुजेकमोदनं नमामि कुञ्जमध्यगं प्रसन्नभानुशोभनम्। निकामकामदायकं दगन्तचारुसायकं रसालवेणुगायकं नमामि कुञ्जनायकम्। विदग्धगोपिकामनो मनोज्ञतल्पशायिनं नमामि कुञ्जकानने प्रवृद्महीनिपाविनम्। किशोरकान्तिरञ्जितं दगन्धगन्ध सुशोभितं गजेन्द्रमोक्षकारिणं नमामि श्रीविहारिणम्। यदा तदा यदा तदा यथा तथा तथैव कृष्ण सत्कथा मया सदैव गीयतां तथा कृपा विधीयताम्। प्रमाणिकाष्टकद्वयं धीतयः पुमान् भवेत् स नन्दनन्दने भवे भवे सुभक्तिमान्। भवेत् स नन्दनन्दने भवे भवे सुभक्तिमान्। इति श्री शंकराचार्य कृत श्री कृष्ण कृपा कटाक्ष स्तोत्रम संपूर्णम। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ट्रांसलेशन। ब्रजभूमि में एकमात्र आभूषण, समस्त पापों को नष्ट करने वाले तथा अपने भक्तों के चित्त को आनंद देने वाले नंद नंदन को सदैव भजता हूँ। जिनके मस्तक पर मोर मुकुट है, हाथों में सुरीली बांसुरी है तथा जो प्रेम तरंगों के सागर है, उन नटनागर श्री कृष्णचंद्र को नमस्कार करते हैं। कामदेव का मान मर्दन करने वाले, बड़े बड़े सुंदर चंचल नेत्रों वाले तथा ब्रज गोपों को शोक हरने वाले कमल नयन भगवान को मेरा नमस्कार है, जिन्होंने अपने कर कमलों पर गिरिराज को धारण किया था तथा जिनकी मुस्कान और चितवन अति मनोहर है। देवराज इंद्र का मान मर्दन करने वाले गजराज के सदृश मस्तक श्री कृष्ण भगवान को मैं नमस्कार करता हूँ। जिनके कानों में कदम्ब पुष्प के कुंडल है, जिनके अत्यंत सुंदर कपोल है तथा व्रज बालाओं के जो एकमात्र प्राण आधार है, उन दुर्लभ भगवान कृष्ण को नमस्कार करता हूँ, जो जग गोपगण और नंद जी के सहित अति प्रसन्न यशोदा जी से युक्त है और एकमात्र आनंददायक है। उन गोपनायक गोपाल को नमस्कार करता हूँ, जिन्होंने मेरे मन रूपी सरोवर में अपने चरण कमलों को स्थापित कर रखा है। उन अति सुंदर अलकों वाले नंद कुमार को नमस्कार करता हूँ तथा समस्त दोषों को दूर करने वाले, समस्त लोगों का पालन करने वाले और समस्त ब्रज गोपों के हृदय तथा नंद जी के वात्सल्य लालसा के आधार श्री कृष्णचंद्र को नमस्कार करता हूँ। भूमि का भार उतारने वाले, भवसागर से तारने वाले, कर्णधार श्री यशोदा किशोर चित्तचर को मेरा नमस्कार है। कमनीय कटाक्ष चलाने की कला में प्रवीण, सर्वदा दिव्य सखियों से सेवित, नित्य नए नए प्रतीत होने वाले नंदलाल को मेरा नमस्कार है। गुणों की खान और आनंद के निधान, कृपा करने वाले तथा कृपा पर कृपा करने वाले, तत्पर देवताओं के शत्रु, दैत्यों का नाश करने वाले गोप नंदन को मेरा नमस्कार है। नवीन गोप सखा नटवर नवीन, खेलने के लिए लालायित घनश्याम अंग वाले, बिजली शत्रु सुंदर पीताम्बर धारी श्री कृष्ण भगवान को मेरा नमस्कार है। समस्त गोपों को आनंदित करने वाले, हृदय कमल को प्रफुल्लित करने वाले, निकुंज के बीच में विराजमान प्रसन्न मन, सूर्य के समान प्रकाशमान श्री कृष्ण भगवान को मेरा नमस्कार है। संपूर्ण अभिलषित कामनाओं को पूर्ण करने वाले, बाणों के समान चोट करने वाले, चितवन वाले, मधुर मुरली में गीत गाने वाले निकुंज नायक को मेरा नमस्कार है। चतुर गोपियों को की मनोज तल्प पर शयन करने वाले, कुंजवन में बढ़ी हुई वीर अग्नि को पान करने वाले, किशोर अवस्था की कांति से सुशोभित अंग वाले, अंजन लगे सुंदर नेत्रों वाले, गजेंद्र को ग्राह से मुक्त करने वाले, श्री जी के साथ विहार करने वाले श्री कृष्णचंद्र को मैं नमस्कार करता हूँ। प्रभु, मेरे ऊपर ऐसी कृपा हो कि जहाँ कहीं जैसी भी परिस्थिति में रहूं, सदा आपकी सत्कथाओं का गान करूं। जो पुरुष इन दोनों राधा कृपा कटाक्ष और श्री कृष्ण कृपा कटाक्ष अष्टकों का पाठ या जप करेगा, वो जन्म जन्म में नंद नंदन श्याम सुंदर की भक्ति से युक्त होगा और उसको साक्षात श्री कृष्ण मिलेंगे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हो। थैंक यू प्रभु जी फॉर सो वंडरफुल सेवा। धन्यवाद, प्रणाम टू ऑल डिवोटीज।
Can have some more kirtan also.
Okay, Prabhuji. Archana Mataji, you want to do?
Mataji, you please carry on.
Okay, ठीक है. I'm doing A बार करुणाकर by Shila Narottam Das Thakur ji. ए बार करुणा करो वैष्णव गोसाई, पतित पावन तोमा बिने के हनाई, जहाँ निकटे गेले पाप दूर जाया, ए मन दयाल प्रभु के बाको थपाया, गंगार परश होइले पश्यते पावन, दर्शने पवित्र करो ये तुम्हारा गुण, हरि स्थाने अपराधे तारे हरि नाम, तुम स्थाने अपराधे नहीं परित्राण, तुम्हारा हृदय सदा गोविंद विश्राम, गोविंद कहे न मम वैष्णवेर पराण, प्रति जन्म करी आशा चरणेर धूली, नरोत्तम करो दया अपनार बली, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील नरोत्तम दास ठाकुर की जय हो। Translation: O Vaishnava Goswami, please be merciful to me now. There is no one except you who can purify the fallen souls. Where does anyone find such a merciful personality by whose mere audience all sins go far away? After bathing in the water of the sacred Gangas, many times one becomes purified, but just by the sight of you, the fallen souls are purified. This is your great power. The holy name delivers one who has committed an offense to Lord Hari. But if one commits an offense to you, there is no means of deliverance. Your heart is always the resting place of Lord Govinda. Lord Govinda says, the Vaishnavas are in my heart. I desire the dust of your holy feet in every birth. I may take, please consider Narottam your and be kind upon him. जय वैष्णव ठाकुर, जय वैष्णव ठाकुर, जय वैष्णव ठाकुर की जय हो. Thank you, Prabhuji, for wonderful seva.
We can start with the class with the invocation prayers.
Shall I do, Prabhuji, the invocation prayers?
Yes, yes.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Umakyantimirandasya Jnanandana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishapanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Praise to Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratishe Namaha. O most magnificent incarnation, you are Krishna himself appearing as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden color of Srimati Radharani and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangapanga Parshadam Yatnai Sankirtana Praye Yajanti Sumedasaha. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Prayers to the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno Shadadharma Samstapako Lokana Mahitakarino Tribhuvane Manyau Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mattaliko Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako. I offer my respectful obeisances to the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all living beings. Thus they are honored all over the three worlds and are worth taking shelter because they are observed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Sri Radha and Sri Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri. Prabhuji, shall I start with the recap?
Yes, yes.
Let's share the screen. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. So yesterday, Mataji so beautifully did a chapter 15, which is lesson 48, where she covered the loving exchanges of Sri Krishna when he started herding cows on the day of Gopashtami, and his relationship with Lord Balarama and how they started herding the cows. The beautiful description of Vrindavan forest and the beautiful pastimes of the cowherds. The second topic that was covered is how did Lord Balarama kill the donkey demon who was Dhenukasura. So this was covered in 40 verses. So let us start off with the significance of Gopashtami. Gopashtami is the day when Lord Krishna starts, he was given the responsibility to tend cows. Till now, he was only tending the calves. So what according to the authorities is known, which day according to the authorities is known as Gopashtami? Which day according to the authorities is known as Gopashtami? Yes,
Hare
Prasad
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Mataji. हाँ, Prasad
Yes,
Prabhu, please
Mataji.
carry on. Prasad Prabhu, please carry on.
No, Mataji, I am slightly in disturbance. Please go.
Okay.
Raksha,
Okay.
Raksha Mataji.
Yes, ma'am, Mataji. The 8th lunar day of the bright fortnight of the month of Kartik is known by authorities as Gopashtami.
8th lunar day of the bright fortnight. Mataji also
Fortnight.
mentioned the 8th lunar day of the dark fortnight is known as Baulashtami.
Bahulashtami.
And this is in the month of Kartik. And in the month of Bhadra, she also mentioned the two Ashtamis. The most famous are Sri Radha Ashtami and Sri Krishna Janmashtami. Okay,
माताजी
so
यहाँ
on
पे
this,
एक पॉइंट है माताजी कि
हाँ जी,
भादो
बोलिए।
मंथ वैसे हम श्रावण मंथ में आता है जन्माष्टमी, तो ये भादो मंथ में कैसे आता है? मुझे वो नहीं समझ में आता है।
भाद्र मंथ में बताया था माताजी ने, अर्चना
हाँ, वो
माताजी।
सब यस, मगर हम जनरली देखते हैं कि श्रावण मंथ में आता
नहीं
है।
माता जी, श्रावण मंथ
According to
में
the-
श्रावण का जो लास्ट डे है वो है बलराम पूर्णिमा। जो झूलन सब होता है तो लास्ट डे में बलराम पूर्णिमा होता है ना।
हाँ माताजी, मगर
हाँ।
कृष्ण जन्म हम नहीं होता है 8th में, वो श्रावण
नहीं,
मंथ ही है
देखो
ना।
श्रावण का लास्ट डे है बलराम पूर्णिमा और उसके बाद शुरू होता है भाद्रपद।
अच्छा,
समझे आप? So 1 week after Balaram Purnima is Janmashtami ना, तो बलराम जी का जन्म श्रावण में हुआ था, जैसे श्रावण पूर्णिमा में, और उसके बाद शुरू होता है भाद्रपद. सो आफ्टर 1 week इज कृष्णा बर्थडे, वो हो जाएगा भाद्रपद में. आप कैलेंडर देख सकते हैं हिंदू कैलेंडर करके आप देख सकते हैं. भाद्रपद की फर्स्ट अष्टमी है जन्माष्टमी, सेकंड अष्टमी है राधाष्टमी.
ओके ओके माता जी.
Okay, so now then we saw the very beautiful verse over here. Tatascha pauganda vaya Shritav vraje babhu vatustau pashu pala samatau gash charayatau sakhibhi samam padaira vrindavanam punyam ativa chakratuhu. So Mataji was again and again stressing on the word ativa, extremely auspicious. They made the land of Vrindavan. So here the significance of Gopashtami is mentioned. Can anybody tell the significance of Gopashtami according to slide 2? Here it is mentioned. Yes, Rajkumari Mataji. Anyone else? Harsha Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
When on the day of Gopashtami, the Krishna Pokanda is, but he and Balram were allowed to take the cow. Earlier they took cows, and at this age they were allowed by the old men of Brij to herd the cows.
Yeah. So earlier they were herding only calves, and now from this day onwards, they start, that is the 8th day of the bright fortnight of Kartika, they were allowed to take cows for herding.
Cows.
And this auspicious day is known as Gopashtami.
Gopashtami.
And on this day, they turned to the their age. They came to the Pauganda phase. And what age is that?
6 years, Mataji.
6 years.
I just
Okay.
wanted
And Mataji, it is also
Yes.
called as, now they are called as cow herd.
Yes,
Gopalaks.
now they are called as cowherd.
Gopalaks.
Gopalaks.
Also, I wanted to add one more thing.
Mhm.
That why I said that I didn't mention properly yesterday. I don't remember that why the land of Vrindavan was very blessed. That is Ativa. Why was she extremely blessed? That is because of their lotus footprints. And
Yeah.
why only now? Because even before they were not wearing shoes.
Yeah.
When they were in, why only now?
Mhm.
I don't think I mentioned this. Now it's mentioned because they grew up a little more, and so their footprints became more visible. Before they were very baby footprints, and
God.
therefore they couldn't be easily seen. But now all the marks, the 19 marks on their footprints could be easily seen, clearly seen.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I mentioned this, so I just
No, this was not mentioned yesterday. So
Okay.
beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you also mentioned about the how Yashoda Mata makes the footwear for a very beautiful footwear for Lord Krishna, and then he refuses to wear that. Why? Why did he refuse to wear the footwear?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna,
main-
Prabhuji.
Yeah, the main reason why you don't want to wear is cows were not having. So it is a kind of compassion, okay, the affection Krishna has towards cows, Mataji.
Because his cows did not have the footwear,
Yes.
so Lord refused to wear the footwear. And then what did the cows heard that? What did they do then?
Also, on my just before the all the small stone and all that. So that people can walk very easily in the forest of Vrindavan.
प्रभु जी आपका आवाज नहीं
Your
आता है.
voice is breaking, Prabhuji.
For I'm
I think there's a connection issue at your end. Yes, Raksha Mataji, what did the cows do?
हाँ, तो जब ये उन्होंने देखा सुना कि ये कृष्णा जो है वो नहीं पहनने वाले हैं, तो वो पूरे तो वो सारी गायां वृंदावन में चले गए वन में, और जितने भी जो पत्थर थे उनको छोटे छोटे बारीक पाउडर में कर दिया, जैसे क्योंकि फिर दूसरे दिन भगवान को विदाउट फूट विदाउट शूज अगर चलेंगे तो उनको कुछ भी लगे नहीं। ऐसा पूरा एकदम अच्छे से जमीन को वो बारीक बारीक कर दिया पाउडर जैसा।
Yeah, so nice. So then the day starts. So according to Vishwanath Thakur, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the calves and the boys were in captivation of Brahmaji for 1 year. What was the gap from the end of that 1 year of kidnapping till Gopashtami? What was the period of gap? How much time had passed?
3 months gap, Mataji.
3 months gap was
3
there.
months gap.
So then Shukdev Goswami very beautifully narrates the fun that they had on this day. And the boys, according to Vishwanath Thakur, can you just describe how Krishna and Balram they accompanied and how they started off on this day? A small description is mentioned here. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Balram and Krishna with their cowherd boys started to go to the forest, and their friends were chanting glories, and the cows, Balram and this Lord Krishna entered the Vrindavan forest, which was full of flowers and rich with nourishment for the animals.
Yeah. So Lord Krishna was accompanied by his elder brother, Lord Balrama, and he kept the cows before him, and he entered the forest of Vrindavan, which was full of flowers and rich in nourishment. So here they say that there was no effort involved in herding them. The animals became spontaneously happy. Why so? It is mentioned in this verse also.
There was abundant.
Yes.
There was abundant grass available.
Yeah. There was abundant nourishment for the cows. That's the reason there was no effort involved in herding them. Yes. And then on this slide, it is mentioned the beauty of Vrindavan is mentioned here in the first. A small description about the beauty of Vrindavan. And the Lord he decided to, there was a very auspicious atmosphere. So Lord started enjoying that atmosphere. So if anyone can describe this beautiful atmosphere of Vrindavan forest. Yes, Radha Vinod Prabhuji.
Yeah, it's nicely described how, everybody was supporting or making the environment for the Lord's pleasure. So that is what is mentioned. So started with the charming sound of bees. They were following. Then there were animals. We know the deers were there. We know the birds were chirping. And also there was a lake nearby. It was giving a very nice breeze. So everybody was making sure the Lord is happy and give their best to Lord to make him happy. Also, it's mentioned here the fragrance of the flowers coming there, and Lord enjoyed everything that was provided by nature to him. I think that is what is also it's a mention that trees were paying the obeisances to both the lords by bending down. Flower plants, trees. Mataji yesterday gave a difference between vanaspati and plant. Those things also she mentioned. So everybody was trying to glorify the Lord in their own way. Also, it is a mention on that point. All those trees, plants, they say that we are born in the tree families. It's supposed to be the code of ignorance, but also Mataji yesterday mentioned that it was not ignorance. They were not ordinary people. The bees and all, they were great sages of Vrindavan,
Yeah.
because everything is animated in a Vrindavan. Nothing can, even the stones and grass and everything. That is the reason why Lord Brahma wants to become a herb or shrub or grass there. That is the beauty of Vrindavan. So every animals, birds, plants was making sure, also the wind was making sure that Lord is taken care of and he is glorified sufficiently as per their capacity.
Thank you, Prabhuji. You beautifully described slide 3. So now let us go to slide 4. So here on slide 4, it said that the earth became most fortunate. What was the reason of the earth becoming most fortunate? Harsha Mataji? Yeah, anyone. Whoever.
Yeah.
Yes, Rajkumar.
The earth became fortunate after touching Lord's feet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's mentioned over here. This earth has now become most fortunate because you have. So Lord, Krishna is telling Lord Balarama, because he did not take the credit of the trees paying obeisances to him. So he gave all the credit to Lord Balarama, and he said that the earth is now most fortunate because you have touched her grass and you the bushes by your feet and her trees and creepers with your fingernails, and because you have grazed her rivers, mountains, birds and animals with your merciful glances. All the above, you have embraced the young cowherd women with your 2 arms, and a favor hankered after, which is hankered even by the goddess of fortune herself, mentioned by Sanatan Goswami and Jiva Goswami for this verse. Then after praising his brother, they had a lot of fun at the Mansi Ganga. So again, this fun is described here. Would anybody want to read that?
Yes, may I read, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
After praising his elder brother, Krishna had fun on the banks of Mansi river, Mansi Ganga. The bees sang mere notes that pertain to their species. The Lord sang notes in the conformity with that and a suitable melody. But the companions also sang his deeds, and their song was combined with the songs of the bees and of the Lord. Thus, the mingling of the songs with one another is to be understood.
Yeah. The bees were singing in their own language. Then Lord sang in tune with them, and all the cowherds also sang the glories of both the lords. And this is how the songs were mingling with one another. So let us come to slide 5. Krishna was doing certain pastimes over here. How they were having fun? What was Krishna doing? Is mentioned in the first and these
Yes,
two.
Mataji. May I?
Yes, Rakshana.
Sometimes Krishna would imitate the chattering of a parrot, sometimes with a sweet voice, the call of a cuckoo, and sometimes the cooing of swans. Sometimes he vigorously imitated the dancing of a peacock, making his cowherd boyfriend laugh. Sometimes with a voice as deep as the rumbling cloud, he would call out with great affection the names of the animals, cows, bulls, older cows, and so on, all 4-legged ones, who had wandered far from the herd, thus enchanting the cows and the cowherd boys. As a double meaning, being devoid of intelligence is stated. Since they went far away from Krishna's side, the rumbling of cloud is indirectly indicated. Sometimes he would cry out in an imitation of birds such as the chakoras, kronchas, chakravas, bhardwaj, and peacocks. So sometimes he would run away with the smaller animals in mock fear of lions and tigers. The word Bhitavat, as it afraid, indicates that Krishna played just like an ordinary boy and ran with the smaller forest creatures in mock fear of the lions and tigers. Actually, in Vrindavan, the abode of the Lord, the lions and tigers are not violent, and thus there is no reason to fear them.
Yeah, so he is exactly acting like an ordinary boy. He was
Yes.
behaving that he is getting scared, but he was not actually getting scared. So this word bitavat, as if he is scared, and he was performing all these pastimes like an ordinary boy with his friends. So then Lord Krishna, when Lord Balrama would get tired after playing, he would put his head on the lap of the cowherds. So Lord Krishna himself would serve him. How would Lord Krishna serve Lord Balrama? Anybody?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mother. So
Yes, Prabhu.
when the Lord was Balraman was tired and he was putting his head on one of the gopas. So Lord Krishna was massaging the lotus feet of Lord Balraman and offering other services.
Yeah.
So that is what it meant. Yeah.
Yes, he himself would personally massage Lord Balram's feet and fan him and offer other services. And they both the lords would sing and dance, and they would have fun, like hand in hand. They would glorify their friends when they were singing and dancing and performing all types of activities. They would just tell them laughingly, "Oh, you sing better than the Gandharva. Oh, you have surpassed the Vidyadharas in dancing, and the way you are fighting, you can conquer the 3 worlds." That's how they would have fun with their friends. Now uh, the cowherd boys, it was an extreme desire to serve the Lord. So Lord would give them an opportunity. How did Lord give them an opportunity to serve him? Mataji mentioned like how he multiplied. Yes. Anybody? Somebody was saying.
Yes, Mataji, may I?
Yeah.
Sometimes Krishna grew tired from fighting and lay down at the base of the tree, resting upon a bed made of a soft twigs and birds and using the lap of a cowherd friend as his pillow. Some of the cowherd boys, who were all great souls, would then massage his feet, and others, qualified by being free of all sin, would expertly fun as a supreme lord, Father Samavaham. The massaging of the feet indicates that the cowherd boys fanned the Lord very carefully and expertly, creating gentle and cooling breeze. Other boys would sing enchanting songs appropriate to the occasion, and their hearts would melt out of love for the Lord. In this way, the Supreme Lord, whose soft lotus feet are personally attended by the goddess of fortune, concealed his transcendental opulence by his internal potency and acted like the son of the cowherd, yet even while enjoying like a village boy in the company of other village residents, he often exhibited feats only God could perform. मगर और फिर ऐसा भी था कि इतने सारे कावड़ बॉयज सबको भगवान की सेवा करनी थी, तो भगवान ने भी इतने अपने स्वरूप को कर दिया और सब भगवान की सेवा करने लगे। मगर उनके फ्रेंड को मतलब गोपा का भी इतना पावर था कि वो भी मल्टीपल अपने रूपों में आ गए और सब भगवान की सेवा में लग गए।
Yeah, like how he multiplies himself with gopis, he multiplies himself with his friends also, to sleep on the bed made by each of them. Here it said that although Krishna was acting like a proper village boy, still he could sometimes hit his godly feats were exhibited. which is mentioned by this word over here, Isha Cheshtitaha, which means, can anybody give the significance of Isha Cheshtitaha? It is mentioned over here.
Yeah, I
Although
will give
also
Mataji.
displaying feats unique to the Supreme Lord.
Yeah. It signifies that whose action involves godly might on the he would
On the occasion
display
of
godly
killing
might,
demons.
yeah, but only on the occasions of killing demons we could see his godly might. Okay. Then we come to the last slide, wherein Lord Balarama kills Dhenukasura. So, what form of demon had Dhenukasura? What form of demon he was? What form he
As
had
an ass.
assumed?
He was an ass.
Donkey.
Yeah.
Donkey form.
Donkey form. Right.
And what were the what did the while enjoying this atmosphere of Vrindavan, his friends, Sridhama, Subala, etc., his friends, they mentioned, they told Krishna Balaram about this person, what did they say about this demon? They mentioned a particular
Very
forest.
powerful demon who is not allowing us.
Yeah,
So they
a
could
very-
not take the tala fruits. So this Dhenukasura was preventing them from,
yeah.
going and playing and eating the tala fruits basically.
So Mataji also mentioned that he said, the boys said that the demon was very powerful to hint at
Yeah.
Lord Balarama so that he becomes envious and attacks, slays them. And then they said that, he's in the form of a donkey. This was indicated towards Krishna so that he laughs. Okay, so this Dhenukasura is a donkey and a jackass who was living in the Talavana forest, which is very near to Vrindavan. And it had such beautiful sweet tala fruits, which Mataji described yesterday, and great in taste. And then Lord Balarama, Lord Krishna and Lord Balarama, they decided to kill him. How did Lord Balarama kill Dhenukasura? Last question. How did Lord
One
Balarama?
fist.
Yes, Sanjeev Prabhu.
Just hit him once at his head, one slash, and then that was it.
Yeah,
He first took him from the high tail, whirled him, and then just one fist, and he was gone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mentioned that when Dhenukasura attacked Lord Balarama, he grabbed his hind legs with one hand and whirled him around and threw him on top of the tree. And thus he died. And Lord Krishna and other friends also killed companions, Dhenukasura's companions. So with this, we complete lesson 48. Over to you, Archana Mataji. I hope I have not taken much of the time. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Santa Mataji. We will begin today's session.
Mataji,
Yes?
No, I could not see you. That's why I said your video is off. Now I can see.
मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यईश्वरम्. Just a minute, I will share the screen. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we begin with another exciting episode. Today's lesson is lesson 49, and we are going to cover Kaliya Daman Leela in 3 parts, that is 49, 50, and 51, and 52 actually. So today will be the first part, and the next 2 parts will be the next week, where we will also have a short skit towards the end of this Kaliya Daman Leela. So the first part of Kaliya Daman Leela is going to have shlokas from the 15th chapter, also the last portion which is left out. Like yesterday we did Dhenukasur pastime, and after the pastime, after the whole Dhenukasur episode, how the Gopas and all come back to Vrindavan is going to be discussed. Such a beautiful description. And after which there will be the Kaliya's poison causing that is the next day when they go to the another episode, you could say, because it's not exactly the very next day, because here it's mentioned Kartik season, where the Gopashtami happened, was winter, isn't it? It's winter. So this is winter season. I mean, it's the beginning of winter season. Kartik Maas is like a beginning of winter season. And so there couldn't be that kind of a Grishma weather, that is a heat hot weather. So it must be another pastime from another time. So that will be discussed. That is how Kaliya had poisoned the lake in Yamuna, and how the Gopas and the cows they drank the water and they were about to die. So that will be the part 1. Then the part 2 will be how Krishna jumps into the lake, and then how he subdues Kaliya. And then the final part will be the prayers of the Nagapatnis. So that is what we are going to. Then the history of Kaliya, how did Kaliya come there, and all that will be described. Then the more emphasis will be given in the Nagapatnis prayers in the lesson 50 and 51, which we will be doing next week also. And here the highlights of the hymns will be mentioned, and how with utter humility they are praying with the surrendered mood, and how great is their prayers. So such wonderful prayers that we should really go into the depth, and we should see how we can also pray so nicely and so full of humility towards Krishna and please Krishna. So they pleased Krishna just by their prayers. They pleased Krishna. So if we want to please Krishna, we should also take their prayers very to heart, and then we should also try to emulate it. So then later on, part 2 will be how a master, that is Krishna, how he should tolerate an offense committed by a child or the subject, and invoking compassion for the women and the young babies would be, otherwise the orphans, they would become orphans, and therefore the Lord spared Kaliya's life. So this we will see in the next part, that is next week. So now we come to lesson 49 to 51, where the first part, Krishna is subduing Kaliya, the first 32 shlokas. And then Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherd men, they were very fearful, because they knew that Krishna has gone to the pastures without Balaram. Balaram was at home. So Balaramji, then later on, Balaramji takes everyone to the lake, Kaliya lake, and Balaramji, he fully knows Krishna's power, and therefore he is stopping the Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, who wanted to jump into the lake to save Krishna. He is stopping them. Wait, don't do something like that. I know Krishna is capable of doing this. And then the next part is about how the Nagapatnis, the wives of the Kaliya, they pray from 33 to 54. And then finally, when Krishna dances on the hoods of the Kaliya, you can see in the second picture where Kaliya is vomiting blood, So it's so much of blood, and first
Excuse
poison
me,
was vomited,
excuse
and
me.
finally, after poison was finished, then blood started coming out. And in this way, he was totally devastated. And Krishna,
Sorry for that. There is a typo here. It should be the wives of Kalia, okay? I'm very sorry about that.
yeah, sorry, wives of Kalia, husband of Kalia. That's okay. So then Kalia is surrendering to Krishna, is saying, yes, my dear Krishna, you are the supreme. I am totally deflated by your mercy, and now I am totally devoid of my envy, my poison, and so please bless me, please don't kill me. And then Krishna orders Kalia to leave Vrindavan at once and go to Ramanaka Dvipa, which is the island in the ocean. So we know this by Srila Prabhupada said that this is in the area of Fiji Islands. Now Fiji Islands, there is a temple, Krishna Kalia temple, which was also installed by Srila Prabhupada, where Prabhupada said that this is where Kalia resides now. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, so now we begin with our session today. This is the 49th lesson, which is going to deal with these things. That is, it's going to describe Krishna's entrance back into the village of Vrindavan. So now we are talking about two things, two places. What is that? Forest of Vrindavan, village of Vrindavan. Forest of Vrindavan, where they went yesterday, we mentioned in great detail about the beauty of the forest of Vrindavan. And now they are coming back to the village of Vrindavan after grazing the cows. So how was the beauty of Krishna is described in this verse over here. Krishna's hair was powdered with dust raised by the cows, was decorated with the peacock feather and the forest flowers. So the mothers have already decorated Krishna wonderfully, but when he goes in the forest, he further decorates himself with all kinds of feathers and forest flowers and minerals. And he glanced charmingly and smiled beautifully, playing upon his flute, while the cowherd boys were chanting his glories, and the young gopis were casting sidelong glances at the Lord. The glances were filled with bashfulness, laughter, and submission, and Sri Krishna, completely accepting these glances as proper offering of respect, entered the cowherd village. So this is how he entered the cowherd village. So if you think that entering of the forest of Vrindavan by the cowherd boys yesterday was described with Krishna and Balaram was a festival to the eyes, then it was a bigger festival when they returned home. This festival is even more beautiful. So Shukadeva Goswami, he is describing...
Let me stop here. Now you might be wondering, here Krishna is about 6 years old, and these young gopis are in Madhurya Bhav. How could they develop such a kind of loving affair? Not affair yet, love. So whatever Acharyas explained, that this is a Purva Raga. Purva Raga means before they actually meet in that kind of bhava, in that kind of Madhurya bhava, they develop this Purva Raga when this. So these gopis were also very young. Remember, he is 6 years old, so gopis were very young. So it's like a very young children. Sometimes we develop that kind of attraction with someone. So that was what Acharya explained. It's like a Purva Raga. Later on, when they mature, they come to the teenage, then that Purva Raga advances when they actually meet each other, So you need to understand that this is called Purva Raga. Purva Raga means that attachment that's happening before they actually physically meet each other. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So now let us look into the what the Goswamis are saying. Here in the 6 verses, 41 to 46, Shukadeva Goswami is talking about the pastimes at the dusk of that day. That means towards the evening. There's also the manifestation of an aspect of Kaishora. So just like Prabhu just now mentioned about Purva Raga. This is an aspect of Kaishora. So Kaishora means the teenage as pastimes, as he mentioned, that later on is going to develop. So right now it's just an aspect of Kaishora, since the corners of their eyes have a reddish splendor and are expansive, and those girls' fever of separation was dispelled by the nectar of fully seeing him, consisting merely of eyes out of great attachment for his beauty, intensely beheld him. Now this we are going to discuss a little in detail by the different Goswamis. So let us jump into it. Shukadev Goswami is describing the fun they had on the first day, right? First day they had fun in the Talavan episode and all that. And the time was Kartik month, which was the ashraya of all the seasons. And there was the affluence of the ripe tala fruit, and till the end of Kartik, everybody was enjoying this ripe tala fruit. Then finally the eastern wind stopped and the autumn rain was expected. Then Krishna was enthusiastic to return to the village where he was going to give bliss to the residents of the village of Vrindavan. So now from the forest, Krishna is returning with the cowherd boys, and he's going to give that special bliss to the residents of Vrindavan. And that is going to be a festival. Now there's going to be an association with the divine gopis who will be now approaching him ahead. So then the word in this shloka is Punya Shravana Kirtana. So Punya Shravana Kirtana, you have heard this so many times. So only by hearing about and glorifying Krishna, now here you see in this slide over here, it's mentioned here, those girls' fever of separation was dispelled by the nectar of fully seeing him. So how is this happening? This happening means, see, the boys are glorifying Krishna, isn't it? And Krishna is coming in front of their eyes, isn't it? So that itself is such a relief. That Shravana Kirtana, that means when they are hearing the Kirtan of Krishna being sung by the cowherd boys, the cowherd boys are glorifying, yes, Krishna today killed Dhenukasura and all, they are coming like that. So the minds of the cowherd boys, they are praising Krishna and Balaram, they were exalted, and these gopis, they were feeling relief. In fact, Sanatan Goswami says tranquilization of the pain. Like when the pain is there and you give a tranquilizer, shot of tranquilizer, how you feel? Pain is totally gone, isn't it? So like that it was, that Shravana Kirtana of that Kirtan of the boys was like that tranquilizer, which was giving them such a relief from that pain of separation they were feeling when they were left behind in the village. So they were feeling so much separation the entire day. And by hearing these nectarian words of praises of Krishna, by hearing his flute sound, they were getting tranquilized. That means all their pain was immediately disposed. Then those who were at the back, that means the boys who were singing the glories of Krishna, they were coming from behind, and Krishna and Balaram and the cows were coming in the front. And when they were at the back of Krishna, they could easily see how the gopis were glancing at Krishna and how Krishna was glancing at the gopis. So Shukadev Goswami's bhava was that of that villager, of that person who stayed back in the village. So his bhava was that. So he was sitting actually at the bank of Ganga. He was speaking to Parikshit Maharaj, but his mood, his bhava was that of those Vrajavasis who were left behind in the village, who could not accompany Krishna. So now he is enjoying that return of Krishna with the cowherd boys. So much of festival. So Jiva Goswami is saying there is a manifestation of an aspect of Kaishora, which is mentioned here, since their eyes were meeting and their eyes had that reddish splendor and they were expansive like a lotus. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura says that Krishnaha, in that word Krishnaha means their hearts were drawn to Krishna, and Kamala Patrakshaha means their eyes were drawn to his beautiful eyes, and their noses were attracted to this beautiful fragrance. And Punya Shravana Kirtana means the flute was playing, the boys were singing, and the ears were becoming fortunate. So all their senses were getting satisfied. So this beauty of Krishna is also mentioned in 9th canto, when 9th canto is going to finish. Just the last, you know how it ended, 9th canto, if you all remember. The 9th canto ended with just the final 3 shlokas. One shloka was describing Krishna and the other 2 shlokas was describing the entire pastimes of Krishna, the entire 10th canto. So this is how the 9th canto ended. is a prelude to the 10th canto. How immediately Parikshit Maharaj said, come on, I've been waiting to hear the pastimes of Krishna. You can't summarize these pastimes just in 2 shlokas. Please, please explain. Please explain these pastimes in detail. I've been waiting for so long to hear these pastimes. And then Shukadeva Goswami describes this entire 10th canto. So this 9th canto, which was those beautiful shloka which was describing Krishna's beauty, Yasyananam makara kundal charu karnam bhadrajat kapola subhagam savilasahasam nityotsavam na tatrapur drishibhi pibantyo naryas narasya mudita kupita nimescha. What is the translation? Krishna's face is decorated with ornaments such as earrings resembling sharks. His ears are beautiful. His cheeks are brilliant. His smiling is attractive to everyone. Whoever sees Lord Krishna sees a festival. His eyes and his face and his body are fully satisfying for everyone to see. But the devotees are angry at the Creator for the disturbance caused by the momentary blinking of their eyes. So they don't even want to blink. The time they blink their eyes and open their eyes, they feel that is a disturbance. Oh, why did the Creator create these eyelashes or eyelids? Why are they closing? So that we cannot see Krishna for that little moment. And in this, we can also see this beautiful shloka where Krishna's hair is powdered with dust raised by the cows, which is described here, also is described in the Gopi Gita in the 10th canto. Dina parikshaye Nila kuntale vanaruhananam vivradavratam ghanarajasvalam darshayannu manasida smaran virayachasi. What is the translation? At the end of the day, you repeatedly show us your lotus face covered with dark blue locks of hair and thickly powdered with dust. O hero, you arouse lusty desires in our minds. So which is this dust? This dust is called the Godhuli, the dhuli which is raised by the cow's hoofs. That when the cows are running and the dhuli, that the dust which they had powdered the previous day, that fine dust is now in the air and it is covering Krishna's hair, his body, and is looking so beautiful. Sanatana Goswami, he's saying that this is the 42nd verse, where he's saying that although there are other ornaments which that decorated Krishna, isn't it? So many ornaments the mothers have put, Yashoda Mata and Rohini Mata have put on their bodies. But only those which are prominent at dusk are mentioned. What are they? That is, he is playing the flute, but now what is the decorations now? The peacock feather, the other kinds of feathers, the forest flowers, which are decorating their bodies, the dust. So all this is more mentioned than when they were going, they didn't have all this. But now at the dusk, these which are prominent are being mentioned. And playing the flute meant to attract those girls by letting them know about his arrival. So now, say, when he went to Vrindavan yesterday, we saw he was loudly playing the flute. Why? Because he wanted to tell the Brajvasis, I have entered the forest. Forest is very far away. So he wanted to tell them. And today, he's playing the flute to letting them know that he has come, his arrival, and to enrapture the gopis. And then the gopi girls who have now, these gopi girls who have passed their Balya Leela, this is what Sanatana Goswami is saying, that Balya Leela is finished and now they have passed their Balya and they are very dear now to Krishna. And first time Krishna was returning from a far away forest. Earlier he was just in the outskirts, they could go and see him anytime. But now Krishna had gone too deep into the forest and now he was returning from a far away place. And so he arrived a little later than before. So Sametaha is signifying that all the girls, they were meeting one another. That means they were together. They were coming to see Krishna in a group. And because of that, there was a decrease in fear and timidity. That means if only one girl comes alone, she will be very shy and very timid and very fearful. But if all girls are coming in a group, sametaha, they're coming together, so that fear and timidity is little bit lesser. So Jiva Goswami is saying that in 2 verses, Shukadeva Goswami is now going to make the beginning or beginning of their Anuraga obvious. So now he is going to talk about their Anuraga, which is going to be obvious. And now this is like a festival to their eyes. And then the gopis are talking about how Krishna is coming back from the forest. It also reminds us of the Gopi Gita. One more shloka I can chant. Atati yad bhavan, ahanikananam, truti ugayate tvam pashatam, kutila kuntalam, Shrimukham chate jada udikshata pakshma kridrisha. Translation is, when you go off to the forest during the day, even a tiny fraction of a second, there is truti. Truti is just a small fraction of a second, becomes like yugayate, it becomes like a millennium for us, because we cannot see you. And even when we can eagerly look upon your beautiful face, so lovely, with its adornment of this curly hair, of these locks, our pleasure is hindered by our eyelids, which were fashioned by the foolish creator. So this is also a beautiful verse from the Gopi Gita. So now we come even closer to this beautiful episode of the gopis drinking the nectar of Krishna's lotus feet. So drinking the honey of Mukunda's lotus face, their distress of separation during the day was mitigated just by drinking that nectar. This is in the 43rd shloka. And this was accomplished by what? By sidelong glances filled with modesty, bashfulness, and laughter. So Krishna was thus receiving these girls' respects, and in this way he entered Vrindavan. Sanatan Goswami is saying that after that, those girls' fever of separation. So he's mentioning that they were so feverish with separation, and it was dispelled by this nectar of fully seeing him. Seeing whom? Mukunda. Who is Mukunda? He is giving bliss, because of which even, what does Mukunda means? Mukunda means Mukti Dayaka, the ones who gives Mukti, right? One who gives liberation. But here it says he gives bliss, because that liberation also is contemptible. Or another meaning is also that Mukunda also can mean Kunda. So what is that Kunda flowers? Kunda flowers are these white, beautiful flowers like jasmine. And then his teeth are resembling those Kunda flowers. His mukha has with his beautiful white teeth, which resemble the Kunda flowers. And this implies that his lips were reddish in color. So, thus the drinking the honey of Mukunda's face with their bee-like eyes. So their eyes of the gopis are compared to the bees, which means that they're intensely and directly seeing the beauty of Krishna. That means direct, face to face. They're looking at Krishna directly, not by the sidelong glance. Okay, first. So this is the beginning of their look. First, they're looking at him directly and completely, intensely, and they're drinking his beauty. And with the topmost great attachment, they're looking at him. But what do the bees do? Bees actually drink the honey. Whereas here, the gopis are drinking the nectar of his face only through the bee-like eyes. Only the eyes are drinking the nectar. So in this way, there is a repeated glance. So here and there, and the parts of his divine face. So what is implied here? So the bees, how they go from flower to flower, but they are drinking the whole honey. But here, the girls, the gopis, they're only looking at Krishna's face, sometimes at his eyes, sometimes at his lips, sometimes at his ears. So they're here and there, they're looking at his divine face. That is implied here. And ahani kananam. Ahani means during the day, he entered the... So what does it mean he entered during the day he entered the village. That means he entered little before the sunset. Little before the sunset. Why? Because if it is sunset already, then nobody can see his beauty, right? It will be covered a little bit by the evening the darkness. So before the evening set in, he entered the village so that they can see him clearly. So much details, and they not only saw his lotus face as if they were in samadhi, they were looking at his face, but they took also delight in the songs sung by the Gopas. So in the background was the Gopas were singing the beautiful songs, and then they offered him gifts. Now, what are these gifts? We are going to see. Jiva Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami says in very short that he says that they relinquish the distress of separation that arises at night by seeing him at dawn. That means during the day, they relinquish by seeing him at the dusk, during the evening, right? So he goes to the forest. During the whole day, they cannot see him. So in the evening when he comes, they see him and their distress is relinquished. And when in the night when they cannot see him, and then during the day when he goes to the forest, that time also their distress is relinquished. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is really, he's a Rasika Acharya. His explanation is above everything. He's so beautiful. So I dare to take this opportunity to describe to you what I read, and I hope I'm not transgressing any rules here. But it's so beautiful. I just can't help but share with you this beautiful description by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Now, please listen carefully. Krishna's natural smile, at that moment, he was not looking at the gopis. So, and his mind was on something else. Let's say Krishna was looking elsewhere. He was not looking at the gopis. So what was the reason? The reason was that let the gopis look at me. If I look at them, then they will hide their face or they will turn away their face. They will feel shy. So let them look at me. So he was looking somewhere else. He was not looking at their face directly. And he was allowing the gopis to see his beautiful face. And the gopis imbibed that smile with their fully opened eyes. So now their eyes are fully opened and they're looking at that beautiful smile of Krishna without any disturbance. And after that, in the second moment, so first moment was that. Second moment, their laughter was arisen from the rapture. And it occurred at that time that Krishna was paying attention. So now they thought that, oh, Krishna is now looking at us. So suddenly they laughed and their smiles also along with their full glances were concealed. So the smiles also were concealed, full glances were concealed. So it's like they were embarrassed, and the veil, and they wear the veil, right? So the veil they used with their left hand, and they covered slightly their face, half covered, and it is covered them little, and their modesty was implied. And in this way, they were covering their laughter, and they were covering their smiles. That was taking place. So now Krishna saw all this sweetness, and all the while he was relishing this rasa of this sidelong glances of. And they were giving this respectful sidelong glances. And this was the gift that the gopis were giving him. And he was taking those gifts of their smiles, of their sidelong glances. And then he released sidelong glances. And that were reaching them. And this is how he entered the village. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur goes deeper into this. He says that brought about by the sanchari bhav of the enthusiasm. Now he's going to go on to the details of this beautiful episode. He says, now please listen carefully, dear devotees. This is like something out of this world. So you have to be very careful. So now the gopis have their attendant. Who is their attendant? It is this flower of a glance. So they're offering flowers to Krishna in the form of their glance, sidelong glance. And that was offered like Netranjali, you can say like cupped hands. Anjali is cupped hands. So with the cupped hands of their eyes, they were offering this flower of their glance. You understood this? with the cupped hands of their eyes, they were offering the flower of a glance. And likewise, they were also offering the flower of laughter or the smiles brought about by their another attendant, which was the Sanchari Bhava of joy, which was offering of this laughter with the cupped hand of their lips. So they're offering their sidelong glance with the cupped hand of their eyes and their smiles with the cupped hand of their lips. And whatever is there is all this we can offer to you, Krishna. Krishna, please accept this, kindly accept this. This is what was their prayer. And what is happening at that exact moment that these two were seen, that is, these two attendants who were offering these two gifts were seen, Krishna ordered his servant. Now, who is his servant? His sidelong glance. So Krishna's sidelong glance was his servant. He said, go, bring those two presents to me. Bring those two gifts to me. At first, the sidelong glance of Krishna is very fickle. This servant of his is very fickle. He tried to steal those two gifts, though they were inside the gopis' homes. That means the gopis were just offering it. It was still with them. So it was in their territory. And this sidelong glance of Krishna, this servant of Krishna had gone to their territory and he was trying to take their gifts. Therefore, he was blocked. Krishna blocked it and kept it back means, given that these two presents were intended to be given, being revealed to him by them, that sidelong glance was freed from bondage. That means first Krishna blocked the sidelong glance and said, no, I'm not going to look at you all. And then suddenly he looked at them, he released that sidelong glance, and this sidelong glance went like a arrow and he went to grab the gifts. At that moment, what happened? There is this Sakhi who is in charge of the gopis' treasury. This Sakhi's name is called Bashfulness. So this Sakhi who is in charge of this gopis' gifts treasury, she appeared and she began to cover these two gifts. She began to cover these two gifts with the veil. You can see the gopis are covering their face with the veil. So this Sakhi is trying to cover these gifts with. And then after that, a fight has started now. Then fight has started between whom? The servant of Krishna, who is the sidelong glance, and the Sakhi of the gopis, who is trying to hide the gifts. Then Modesty, there's another gopi Sakhi. She came there and she came to settle the dispute. And then the sidelong glance, that is Krishna's servant, he is very powerful. What he did, he was very powerful. He pulled the gifts and the gopis' sidelong glance, endowed with laughter, along with bashfulness, along with modesty. So the Sakhis, the attendants, everybody, he pulled them all and then he gave them to Krishna. Isn't this so beautiful? So obtaining these set of 3 items, which is like a big jewel, extremely hard to get, Krishna placed it in the innermost part of the temple of his heart. This is implied by the word Satkriti, offering of respects. Such a beautiful description by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. I don't know whether I made any justice, but you all can read and enjoy this and relish this beautiful pastime again and again.
Very beautiful, Mataji. Thank you. So beautiful. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, very nice. So,
Thank you, Charu Prabhuji, for the slides also.
Yes.
She
So in the
brings
next,
life. She brings the light to this, my words, Otherwise, it's lifeless,
no, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, justice is done to your slides.
Thank you.
Always, Mataji's modulation is so good that we get engrossed in it.
I don't know whether I am doing justice, but thank you so much, dear devotees. And all glories to Prabhupada.
Mataji, you are doing very nicely.
Thank you so much. Jai Shri Prabhupada. So we go to the 44th shloka. Next shloka, in the same tone. In this, Sanatan Goswami is saying, In the next two verses, Shukadeva Goswami explained the bliss of the two mothers, because both the mothers gave desirable things to them to eat. Yet only Yashoda is considered the foremost in Vatsalya Ras, and Rohini is merely considered her company as an assistant. And they took off what they did. Now Krishna has accepted the gifts of the gopis, and he has entered the village, and he has entered his house. So now the two mothers, they are now taking over. So the two mothers are Rohini and Yashoda. So Yashoda Mata is the foremost. And what they did, they took off all the forest ornaments from their bodies. And then, then what they did, they removed all the godhuli or the dust from the cows' hooves, which had come on their bodies from their limbs, and so on. They were massaging their limbs and making them very splendorous. And the two mothers, what they did, and it implies that these two mothers were not doing any other household work, because now they were engaged in serving their two children. Because of the affection for their sons who climbed on their laps, they were hugging them, they were kissing them, and they were asking them about their well-being, and they were carefully observing all their limbs. If anything had happened to them, if any scratch or if any hurt or anything had happened to them, and they were observing their limbs very carefully, and their garments were moistened with their milk. So this is the beauty which is described. Then in the next 45 to 46 shloka, it's mentioned that is Adi means and various other things what they were doing. They were combing them, they were dressing their hair, they were cleaning their body with water and so on. And they were ornamenting them, they were dressing them again, they were putting ointments on their bodies, and they were giving them divine garlands and divine scents. And they were, all this is indicated. After which, they gave them little something to eat, and they were being fed like babies. They were not babies, right? They were almost like in the pre-Kaishora form. So they were in the Purva Raga already, but the mother still considered them as babies. So they were feeding them like babies, and they had prepared wonderful things which they liked, which they liked, their favorite foodstuffs, and they were feeding them. And they were pampering them like anything by kissing on their face and making a happy conversation. And they were placing a fragrant betel nut into their mouths. And they put them to sleep. They went to sleep. How they went to sleep? They were swinging them softly. They were fanning them with chamara. They were massaging their lotus feet softly. They were singing details that are given in the Srimad Bhagavatamrita. Given these details are given. If we want to read more, we can read the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, where more details are being given by Sanatana Goswami. And they slept on the best of the beds. The beds were inlaid with jewels, and the cushion was as soft as the foam of milk. And now they're going into Yoga Nidra. Krishna and Balaram, of course, they only go into Yoga Nidra. So when they became absorbed in Yoga Nidra, they also became absorbed in various amazing pastimes. So in this way, the fun was occurred every day. So given that so much time had passed by fully narrating this, now Shukadeva Goswami is thinking, oh God, I have wasted so much, not wasted, but in the sense I have spent so much time narrating all this and that to Parikshit Maharaj. So he has very little time left to live. And that pastime was not expanded by Shukadeva Goswami more, because he was concerned that there will be no occasion for discussing other events that had to be told. There's so many things to be told, and I'm just spending my time in this Leela only. So like that, he was thinking. Thus, only the fun of returning to the village at dusk is specifically narrated, but not the topic of going to the forest from home, which takes place in the early morning. So next morning, again, they will go to the forest. So that's also another festival, but that's not described so vividly because of the time factor. Because the occurrence of a downside, there's a downside also there. Not only time, but also because of the there's going to be some sadness, some melancholy. Why? Because the residents of Vrindavan, Yashoda and all, they are going to be completely submerged in sorrow because of what's going to happen when they leave. So that's why Shukadeva Goswami is not going to describe that. So now we go to the next slide. Now here it says, some days later, this is from Srila Prabhupada's summary, some days later, Lord Krishna went with his friends, but without his older brother, to the banks of the Kalindi, that is Yamuna, in order to tend the cows. Now, when we hear this, what do we remember? We remember that Brahma Vimohini Lila also, Balaramji did not accompany Krishna. So that time they were 5 years old, right? Krishna was 5 years old, Kaumara. Then the next year, when the Brahma Vimohini Lila took place, and the next one whole year passed, and the next year when they came back, telling about the Aghasura story 1 year later, also was on Balaram's appearance day. So that time also Balaram didn't go with Krishna. So that during his birthday, Balaram doesn't go. His mothers hold him back to do the necessary prayers, bathe him and all that, to appease his constellation, birth constellation. So now that means this is the third time happening. That means it must be the next year. This is what is logically there. Some Goswamis disagree. Some say it was earlier, some say it was later. But we take it, what Prabhupada says, that some days later, in the sense, after Kartik, after Dhenukasura's Vadha was done, then comes another, next Grishma comes, and then Shravan comes. When Shravan comes only, Shravan Purnima is Balaram's appearance day. At that time, he did not go with Balaram to the banks in order to tend the cows. The cows and the cowherd boys become very thirsty. They drank some water from the Kalindi, but it had been contaminated with poison, and they all fell unconscious on the river bank. Krishna then brought them back to life by mercifully rain of his glance, and all of them, regaining their consciousness, appreciated his great mercy. So this whole episode took place when Balaramji was absent. Now, what happens? We see in the 47th shloka, where Krishna was without Balaram due to suspecting that he would prevent him from plunging into Kaliya's den, which he intended to do. So Krishna wanted to banish Kaliya. So he wanted to go alone. Otherwise, Balaramji will not allow him to jump into the lake. So he said, let me go when Balaramji is not around. Or alternatively, because of Balaram's birthday, the two mothers wanted to bathe him and appease his birth constellations. So this is what they say. So what happened? The cows and the boys, they drank the water because they were so thirsty. This was in the Grishma month. This was in the summer. So in the summer, they all became very thirsty. And they ran to the banks of the Yamuna. And Krishna purposefully, he had gone there so that he wanted to banish Kaliya. So he had gone exactly in that area where Kaliya resided. That is, Kaliya resided where? He resided in the Yamuna, in a lake. So there is a possibility that there is a lake in the Yamuna, in one portion of the Yamuna, which is not in the waves of the Yamuna. Otherwise, it is separated from that waves of the Yamuna. Otherwise, what? The whole Yamuna will become poisoned. But here, only that portion, that lake of Kaliya Hridha, that lake was, which is in the vicinity of Yamuna, which is just in the Yamuna rather, but it is not on the level of the waves of the Yamuna, so that the Yamuna waves were not disturbed at that time. So what happened? Krishna knew that Kaliya was there, and he knew that his poison was growing, and now his poison is able to come and contaminate the entire Yamuna. So he wanted to banish this snake. So he came there at that particular place, and then according to his Leela Shakti only, all this is happening. What is happening? The boys and the cows, they are running towards, because they are so thirsty, they're running towards the Yamuna, and they see this lake, and then the cows, they drink the water, and then they fall down, and the boys also drink the water, and they also fall down on the banks. So here it says that the cows, Sanatana Goswami says that the cows and the boys drank the water together at once. Otherwise, by seeing that how the cows drank and they died, so they definitely wouldn't have drunk the same water. But because they were oppressed by the heat, and even though the water was poisoned, they drank that water without waiting for Krishna. This is what Sanatana Goswami says. But what this Jiva Goswami says is slightly different. He says that when the Gopas saw that the cows were dying because they drank the water, poisoned water, the cows were dying. So they also drank the poisoned water. Why? Because they wanted a desire to give up their bodies. They said, what is the use? Now cows have died. What are we going to do? We have not been able to protect the cows. Now let us also die. And they also drank the water and died. But on the one side, they saw that Krishna was coming from behind. So he had not drunk the water, right? So he was thinking, so Krishna has not drunk the water. So Krishna is safe. So he is Avashya Rakshive Krishna. He will save all of so many millions of times he has saved us. So he will also save us. So thinking like that, they left. They drank the water and they fainted. So in the 49th shloka, Sanatana Goswami is saying, all this happened only due to the Lord's will. Because for the purpose of expelling Kaliya, the Lord wanted to expel Kaliya, so he did that. And the cows and the boys had only touched the waters. They had not consumed it totally. So they were just falling unconscious because of the severe poison of this Kaliya serpent. And in this verse, in the 49th verse, there is a word called Kurukula Nandana. That is, when Parikshit Maharaj heard, oh, the cows had died, the cowherd boys had died, he suddenly became so despondent. He became so despondent because he was immersed in the Leela. He was so immersed in the Leela that he immediately became despondent. And immediately Shukadeva Goswami said, Kurukula Nandana, don't worry. He's pacifying Parikshit. Wait, don't worry. Krishna is there. He will bring them back to life. Then Jiva Goswami is saying that the awareness, that is the awareness of the boys, it was struck by something related to God. That is the might of his Leela Shakti. So Krishna's Leela Shakti came there, and the Leela Shakti only covered. It was said that Isha Cheshtita, yesterday also we heard. So here also Isha Cheshtita means this Leela Shakti and this Yogamaya, they are acting only on the will of the Krishna. Isha means Krishna, Isha Cheshtita means his desires. So whatever desire Krishna desires only happens. So later there's going to be another beautiful Leela, and this is going to be Krishnadbhuta Karmana. Krishna's actions are going to be adbhuta, are going to be very wonderful. And for that reason, this prelude had to take place. So they fell down. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that it was seen that Yogamaya had covered the life force of the boys. So it's not that they had drunk the water, poisoned water, and they died. They are eternal. They are eternal associates of Krishna. They are Nitya Siddhas, they are eternal associates. Nothing can happen to them. Nothing from this material world can touch them. Just like Yogamaya had covered the boys in the Brahma Vimohini Leela, she said, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said that nothing can touch the boys. Even Brahma's magic cannot touch the boys because they were eternal servants of Krishna, the eternal associates of Krishna. Similarly here, Yogamaya is covering their life force of the boys because they are eternal, and she wants to cover their life force for the sake of the excellence of this pastime. This pastime must go on, this drama must go on, this beautiful Leela must go on very faultlessly, and therefore she is assisting by covering their life force. Then in the 50th shloka, it says that without delay, Krishna revived them by Ikshamrita Varshinya. Iksha means eyes. Ikshamrita means by his sight, by his look. Amrita means nectar, by his nectarian glance. Merciful rain of his nectarian glance. He brought them back to life. And who was he? He was Yogeshwara. Even the so-called Yogeshwaras of yoga, or the grandmasters of yoga, what they do, they need to be they need Yogeshwara, they meditate on Yogeshwara, they meditate on Krishna to get at least a spark, a little bit of his splendor. They pray to him. And he was Yogeshwara. What he cannot do, he can just by his glance, he can just bring back them all back to life. So this sort of magic which Krishna did, or whatever, you can say magic or yoga or whatever, this is not artificial. This is not something which he learned. There's something with Siddhi, which he had performed some Siddhi, and no, it was a part of his nature, part of Krishna's nature. He was Yogeshwara. So it was part of his nature. So even the Yogeshwaras who are learning yoga, who are learning this Ashtasiddhis, they get a fraction of his powers by meditating or worshipping Krishna. So what to speak of Krishna? So in the next shloka, 51st shloka, Sanatana Goswami says that all of them got up at once. All the boys, cows, everybody got up and they started looking at each other with utter astonishment, because they had realized that they had left their bodies, or they had that something happened and then suddenly they were alive. Then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, they were asking each other, was it a potent herb? Somebody used a potent herb on us, or perhaps some mantra which eliminates the poison of the snakes was chanted. So they were asking each other, hey friend, do you know this mystery? What happened to us? Do you know this mystery? What happened to us? And they all understood that we only got up because of this beautiful glance of our friend Krishna. So now we go to the next part, where we see the Kaliya Daman Leela going to start. So now Krishna wants to restore the purity of Yamuna's waters, which had been contaminated by Kaliya's poison. And Krishna climbed into a Kadamba tree on the river bank and jumped into the water. Then he began fearlessly playing within the water like a maddened elephant, and Kaliya could not tolerate Krishna's trespassing upon his personal residence. And the serpent quickly went up to the Lord and bit him on his chest. And when Krishna's friends saw this, they fell down on the ground unconscious. At that time, all sorts of inauspicious omens appeared in Vraja, such as earth tremors, falling stars, and trembling of various creatures' left limbs. This is Srila Prabhupada's summary. So we will see this, and then we'll go to the next portion of the Acharya's commentaries. So now what is happening? Krishna has saw that his cowherd boys and his cows are all, he brought them back to life, that's fine. Then he thought that he must rid this Yamuna river from this Kaliya. This Kaliya is going to contaminate the river by his poison. So what did he do? Krishna climbed onto a nearby Kadamba tree. So the poison was so vicious that just by the vapors of the poison in that lake, everything surrounding that lake had perished. Even the plants, the trees, and everything had perished. There was nothing there on that particular bank of Yamuna, that particular bank of that lake. Only one Kadamba tree was there. It's mentioned that when Garuda was taking the pot of nectar, he was flying for his mother. He wanted to rescue his mother from the curse. So he wanted that nectar to be given. So he took that, he was taking the nectar from the Devas and he was bringing it down. And while he was flying over this Vraja, one drop fell on this Kadamba tree. And therefore this Kadamba tree, even though it was on this bank, where every other tree and plant has perished, this Kadamba tree was alive. And then it's also mentioned that Garuda knew that in future Krishna will need this tree to jump into the lake, and therefore he did this. So this is also a prelude to this pastime. Then Krishna climbed up the tree and he jumped inside the poisonous water. So when he jumped, it's mentioned that Krishna is, so when you see there's a water pot, and if you put something heavy inside the water pot, what will happen? All the water will jump out. So how many of us have seen swimmers dive inside the pool? We have seen so many times we have seen people, swimmers, they dive into the pool right from the board. So when they dive into the pool, a little bit of water, maybe 1 foot or 2 feet, a little bit come out. But when Krishna jumped into the pool, this pond, what happened? The whole, like, so much water came out from that pond. It was almost like a huge amount of water was coming out, because like as if a huge heavy something heavy has fallen into the lake. Then entire water has just splashed out. So that is with that kind of force, Krishna jumped inside the Kaliya lake. So when he jumped inside and he was fearlessly playing in that water, he was playing like a maddened elephant. So we have heard how elephants create a havoc in the water. They just splash the water everywhere, and they are huge elephants, the massive elephants, and therefore the water is all over the place. Similarly, when Krishna was playing in this water, he was also like a maddened elephant, and all the water was splashing all over the place. And he was making such a noise, swimming all around. Kaliya, first of all, couldn't believe it. That even a bird flying over the Kaliya lake couldn't tolerate the fumes of this poison, and it would fall down dead. So can you imagine somebody who has entered Kaliya lake and is splashing about like this? Kaliya could not tolerate that somebody has trespassed upon his personal residence. Wasn't it just like Dhenukasura's episode, where Dhenukasura couldn't tolerate the trespassing of Balaramji and all the others who came to take the tala fruit? Like that, similarly, Kaliya was also very envious, very envious. So he was, by nature, he was a snake, and by nature he was envious, and so he could not tolerate Krishna's coming into his residence. Then Kaliya comes to see, who is this, who is who is disturbing me. So he saw that it was a beautiful form of Krishna. He was wearing this yellow pitambara which was shining, and he had a peacock feather in his hand, he had a flute, and he was so beautiful to look at. But did Kaliya appreciate this? No. He only was so envious. He only had anger. So only anger came out of his mind. He could not see the beauty of Krishna. He could only see the anger. And with angry eyes, he was looking at Krishna, and he was thinking, who is this? And the first thing he did was he bit him on his chest. So what happens when the snake bites? Definitely, a snake, even an ordinary snake bites also, we fall unconscious. But when Krishna was bit by the snake, Kaliya, nothing happened to Krishna. Kaliya was like, who is this? And then by just seeing this, his friends outside, they were waiting outside and looking at this happening. His friends fell down unconscious because they couldn't tolerate this. How can this huge snake who had 1,000 hoods come and bite our dear friend Krishna? And what will happen to him? Thinking like this, they fell down. They fell down unconscious. And then at the same time, what was happening in Braja, in the village? Now here in the forest, isn't it? So what was happening in Braja? In Braja, so many kinds of inauspicious omens were taking place. That was, earth was shaking a little bit, like tremors. Then there was, so suddenly there were, in the daylight, there were falling of stars. And then there was, there are creatures, that is the men, normally it is mentioned that for the men, if the left side quivers, it is inauspicious. So for the ladies, it's the right side. If quivers means shakes, trembles, is inauspicious. So the left side of the men were trembling, so they were feeling that there is something happened to Krishna. Please let us stop here and little bit think about this. That when things like this happen to us, let's say some inauspicious signs happen to us in our life, what do we think? Immediately, we think, oh, something bad is going to happen to me, or my near and dear ones, or my health, or something is going to happen to my body, or something is happening to my wealth, or some like this. We are going to think about ourselves. But look at the Vrajvasis. They were only thinking about Krishna. The moment they saw these inauspicious omens, they only thought, oh, Krishna is in danger. They didn't think about themselves. They didn't think about their surroundings. They didn't think about their relatives or friends. They only thought about Krishna. So this is the difference, dear devotees. This is the difference between us and the Vrajavasis. So Now let us go to the comments of the acharyas. So how did Krishna subdue Kaliya within the waters? So that is what we are going to say. This lake was an area in the length of 1 yojana. Yeah, 1 yojana is around 8 miles. So it is to the south of the riverland, was untouched by her flow. So it was towards the banks of the Yamuna, and it was not in the flow of the Yamuna. So otherwise the main current would have come into contact with the poison, right? So it was slightly, even now you go to Vrindavan, you will find that the Kaliya Daha is just a little bit on the side of the main stream of Yamuna. Of course, the Yamuna Ghat is slightly away. But what I'm trying to say is that even the Yamuna Ghat, which was created in those days, is still present. And the Kaliya Daha is just on the border, of the edge of Yamuna. So Kaliya, more details are given in Harivamsha Puran. It's mentioned here. So devotees want to read more, can read there. And Kaliya not being intelligent was implied by Kaliya was not intelligent because he couldn't appreciate the beauty of the Lord. Simply he was angry. Simply he was envious. And he was fearlessly biting the Lord. And it's mentioned that he broke his fangs. So whichever hood he was biting Krishna was unhurt and his fangs were broken. So this is mentioned that it is equivalent to excellence of kissing the various body parts and enclosing him by his body in the firm embrace. So this is what we are going to see later, how the serpent Kaliya is going to enclose the body of the Lord. That means go round and round and bind the body of the Lord with his coils. This is what we will see. He's going to do that now. So how is it seen by the Goswamis? He's biting because his fangs are broken. His biting is seen as kissing, and his coiling around the Lord is seen as embracing. So this is later on, the Lord's great favor on him will occur. And although there is obviously no question of inauspiciousness in relation to the Lord, the manifestation of bad omens is to evoke grief of the cows and the cowherds and so on. So nothing can happen to Krishna, nothing bad can happen to Krishna, no inauspiciousness can be connected to Krishna, but yet the Krishna was the main thing in the minds of the Brajvasis. Although they were doing their household work daily, everything was going on. The moment something happened, Krishna. Everything, their minds were tuned to only Krishna. So anything outside their periphery was happening, immediately their minds would go run to Krishna. So the Devas also, they forgot about his Aishwarya, and since they have affection for him. So Devas also thought that something bad is going to happen. They also were encircling this place. Later on, we'll see how when the Kaliya Mardan happens, how the Devas also excited, and Vidyadhara singing, and Gandharva singing, Vidyadhara dancing, and all will happen. So we'll see that in the later stage when Krishna does Kaliya Mardan. So in this part, we see that now the Vrajvasis, they knew Krishna had gone to tend the cows that day without Balaram. So Balaram was not there to protect him. So, but they were unaware that Krishna had so much of power and opulence. They did not know Krishna they only knew him as a small little cowherd boy, their beautiful little boy. So thus what they concluded, they thought that the inauspicious omens which are indicated that he had met with death. So they're thinking, yes, something has happened with Krishna. Krishna has already, maybe has left his body, and they were overwhelmed with grief. Oh my God, what is this? And this great lamentation and fear, these poor suffering people, they were rushing out of the village and they were wanting to find him. And this is how Srila Prabhupada summarized this. He gives this summary. So now we are seeing a few things in this beautiful shloka of this chapter, where these 3 verses is like a one unit. And what is the gist? The gist is without Rama, Vina Ramena. Ramena means without Balarama. So without Balarama, he has gone. seeing alaksha means they saw this inauspicious omens, which are Durnimittaihi. So they saw all these inauspicious omens, and the Vrajvasis, they understood, they nyatva, they understood, or they considered matva. What did they consider? That Krishna had died, nidhanam. Why? Because of not knowing his Aishwaryam. They did not know how Krishna is Yogeshwar. How can he die? But Prapta Matad Vidaha, having him as their very source of life. See, when something happens, some inauspicious thing happens or inauspicious omens happen, we think about ourselves, right? Why? Because we are absorbed in ourselves. Like that, we think this body is the source of our life. This mind is source of our life. What is the source of the lives of the Vrajvasis? Krishna. So thinking of him all the time and absorbing themselves in him. So his pain, his unhappiness, his fear was the topmost in their mind. Dukkha shoka bhayaturaha. They were filled with dukkha, they were filled with shoka, they were filled with bhaya. Atura means very eager, very totally eager. Tat pranastan manaskaste. Shoka bhayatura pashuvrityaha. So they were overwhelmed. They were dinaha. They were rushing out of the village, anxious for the sight of Krishna. Krishna darshana lalasa. So these are the 3 verses, 13, 14, and 15 of Kaliya Daman Leela, where the Vrajavasis, their minds are totally absorbed in Krishna's and thinking that Krishna is in pain, Krishna has died, they are totally devastated. They're totally full of fear. They're totally full of anxiety, and with total overwhelmed by all these fears and anxieties, they're rushing out of Vrindavan. They're just running towards the Kaliya lake, anxious for the sight of Krishna. And the Goswami says, however, that the word Nidhana also means great treasure, that Krishna was indeed their greatest treasure. And now here they say that Krishna had obtained the great treasure of joyful sporting in Yamuna. That is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He is saying that Krishna has now obtained this great treasure of joyfully sporting in the Yamuna. That also could be the meaning. So now we are going to see that how these Vrajvasis have reached Vrindavan. This Kaliya. From Vrindavan, they have come all the way to Kaliya, this place where Kaliya's lake is there. So this is very beautifully explained by Sanatana Goswami, and Srila Prabhupada is writing in his purport to this 18th shloka. He's saying that, I will read it. It's at the bottom of the slide. Since Krishna had passed along some time previously, why weren't his footprints, which were surrounded by those of cows, covered balls, and so on, smudged over and brushed away? Why hadn't his footprints been obliterated by those of the beasts and the birds of Vrindavan forest? The answer is indicated by the word Vishpati, master of the cowherd community. Since Krishna is actually the wealth of all living beings, all the inhabitants of the forest of Vraja would carefully preserve his footprints as great treasures, the very ornaments of the earth. Thus, no creature within Vrindavan would ever walk upon Lord Krishna's footprints. Actually, this last line, this last sentence, 2 sentences, I had just written down and pasted it on the wall. It is so beautiful. Every day I would look at it in my drawing room. I had kept it on the wall, looking at these beautiful sentences, these last 2 sentences. Since Krishna is actually the wealth of all living beings, all the inhabitants of the forest of Vraja would carefully preserve his footprints as great treasures, the very ornaments of the earth. Thus, no creature within Vrindavan would ever walk upon Lord Krishna's footprints. Isn't this amazing? This is so beautiful. So this I would read almost every day, looking at the wall. Why? Because you see the bhava of the Vrajvasis. They were protecting not only the men, women, and the covered boys and all, even the animals and the birds. They were also protecting these footprints carefully, because they were considering Krishna's footprints as the ornaments on this earth, and they would not even go over those footprints. They would not walk over those footprints. They would preserve them. So therefore, it was so easy for the Brajvasis to locate this Kalia lake. Otherwise, how would they locate it? They were running, but then they were looking, where has Krishna gone? They were seeing his footprints is marked with all the symbols, and his footprints were there, and they were following these footprints all along to the Kalia lake. Balaramji also, he accompanying them, he also came and he saw Krishna being coiled by the Kalia serpent. And Balaramji was smiling, and he's saying that he didn't say anything. When he saw the residents of Vrindavan in such distress, he understood. Oh, you don't know the extraordinary power of my younger brother Krishna? The residents, they were hurrying towards the bank of Yamuna. They were searching for their dearmost Krishna, and they were following the path marked by his footprints. Seeing his footprints on the path among the cows' footprints, and the residents of Vrindavan rushed along in great haste, and they reached the banks of the Yamuna. There, what they saw, actually Kalia, after biting Krishna on his chest and nothing had happened, Kalia, the huge serpent, he was coiling himself around Krishna's body and he was holding him in tight embrace. It's mentioned as embrace, so beautiful, isn't it? So he was holding him tightly, and he holding him like this for one muhurta. One muhurta is 48 minutes. So not just 1-2 minutes, he was holding Krishna for 48 minutes. Who gets this kind of mercy? So here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that Balaramji was smiling. There were two reasons. One was he knew that power of my little brother. And another thing was because he's saying that, Krishna, I am Sheshanag. In my form of Sheshanag, you never cared to play with me. And now you're playing with this water snake, this small mundane snake, ordinary snake, you're playing with him. You're giving him this mercy of embracing you. What is this? And he was smiling like that. So the question may arise as to why Krishna and Balaram were allowing their loving devotees to suffer such great anguish during Krishna's temporary imprisonment within the coils of Kalia. Now Krishna was in the coils of Kalia, was tightly embraced, and the Vrajavasis were undergoing severe anguish, great anguish. They were totally devastated. What is this? Our Lord, our little boy, our little sweet little boy is now being crushed by this serpent. So now it must be remembered that because the inhabitants of Vrindavan were completely liberated souls, they are not like us. Okay, they are completely liberated souls. So they did not experience kind of material emotions like, oh, my child is, if a mother thinks, oh, my child is suffering, and then she thinks like that, that's a mundane feeling. That's a mundane emotion. But when Vrajavasis when they saw their beloved Krishna in danger, their love for him intensified to the highest degree. Now, okay, we can also give a mundane example. I can give a mundane example. I don't know whether it's appropriate, but I will just give a mundane example. Let us say we all know that when people have children, they love their children very much. They love their children very much to the end. But let us say they love their children very much and they show their love to their children every day. Yeah, every time, yes. But what if their child falls sick? He falls really sick, maybe hospitalized or something like that. What happens then? Then the mother or the father, they are constantly watching their children over, isn't it? They don't leave their bedside. They constantly are with them. So what is this? Their love has increased or decreased? Their love has increased because of the discomfort the child is feeling, because of their love for them, it has intensified. Now, this is a mundane example, but in Krishna's case, it was also like that, something like that Krishna was in apparent danger. And now the love for the Vrajavasis have for him is intensifying higher and higher and higher. The degree is just increasing. Seeing Krishna in the coils of Kalia and being crushed by Kalia's coils, their intense feeling of separation from Krishna, intense feeling, their love for him is increasing little by little by little by little. And it is just, I think it is going to crash. Their threshold is going to crash. And thus They were completely merged into the ecstasy of love for him. Although this situation looks like very challenging, it looks very dangerous, but it is actually giving them the highest degree of ecstasy of love. So this whole situation has to be seen from the spiritual point of view, Srila Prabhupada says, or we cannot see it at all. We will not be able to see it at all. And this is what Srila Prabhupada is saying. So we have to see this. So how the Brajavasis were looking at Krishna, and then when Krishna sees them like that, in that condition, he says, now they are going to break that barrier, and now they are going to leave their bodies because of that ecstasy, because of this intensified desires. Now I should come out of this coils. And then Krishna starts to expand his body, and he just breaks open. Now instead of Kaliya putting pressure on Krishna's little body, Krishna's little body is putting the intense pressure on Kaliya's body, and Kaliya's coils are thrown apart, and Krishna comes out of his hoods from his coils. Now what exciting thing is going to happen is going to be revealed in tomorrow's lesson, in next week's lesson. So wait until next week. Tune in. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, Mataji. Wonderful.
Wonderful, Mataji.
So beautiful.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Wonderful, Mataji. So
Jai Shri-
beautiful. Thank you so much.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
So wonderful, Mataji. Really,
Yes.
we are there at the Yamuna river. Thank you, Mataji.
Jai
Dandal
Shri-
pranam.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Thank
Dandavat
you,
pranam,
Mataji.
Mataji,
So
for
wonderfully
taking us
explained.
Jai Shri
into the
Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna
ecstasy.
Mataji.
Thank you,
Dandavat
Mataji.
pranam.
Thank you. Jai
Hare
Shri
Krishna Mataji. Dandavat pranam. Very
Dandal
wonderful.
pranam,
Mataji.
Prasad.
And thank you,
Yeah.
Charu Bhaiji, also, who has given so nicely this PPT.
Thank you,
Yes.
Mataji. Thank
The
you.
PowerPoint slides are so wonderful, so apt, and so very condensed. So beautiful
Yes.
PowerPoint slides. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I just have to make one remark, if you will forgive me for that. Not Mataji's presentation. That is pretty much flawless. But see, when you do recapping, I just one humble request. Actually, Sanjeev Prabhu is doing pretty good. He's highlighting particular portion of my PPTs. When he asks questions. But those of you who are commenting or answering, they are reading the PPTs and by way of answering. See, by reading, you'll not be able to internalize what you should do. We ought to do. Read the PPTs before the class, and then you should know the answer actually. And so even if you read right at the time, the person who is doing the recapping, showing the slide, you don't literally physically read that actually. What I would suggest, even if that just quickly read over, it doesn't take few more than a minute or two to read it, and just explain it in your own words. That way you will be amazed how much you will be able to realize that if you read, just physically read, it'll be like a parroting, just nothing, it'll not go in your consciousness. So just explain it in your own words, whatever you read. That way it'll tell you something about how much you absorbed it, So that's my just humble request, okay? But I appreciate very much all of you are making really sincere efforts and participating in such active discussion. So that gives me tremendous pleasure, But this is my only request. See if you can make that, try how much you'll be able to absorb it. That's what I'm saying that. Okay? Haribol. Please continue.
Sure, Prabhuji, we will give the answer by our own words.
Yeah, don't just read it,
Yes, Prabhuji. Today I did this 2 times.
Yeah.
Sorry
No, that's
for
okay. That's okay. That's okay. Thank you.
Generally, I am always giving in my work.
I know.
But
I
today,
know.
yesterday was my exam, Bhakti Vaibhav second canto, last
Oh, I
evening.
see.
So I
Sorry
didn't get
about
the
that.
time.
No, sorry about
Sorry,
it.
Prabhuji.
And राजकुमारी माता जी, बहन जी, आप अगर बुरा ना माने तो मैं कुछ कहूँ?
जी 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 भाई जी,
हाँ।
बुरा नहीं मानूंगी, ऑलवेज आप कभी
Thank
भी
you.
कह सकते हैं।
नहीं, मैं आपको क्रिटिसाइज नहीं कर रहा हूँ। मैं क्या कह रहा हूँ कि ये जो बोलने में हिचकिचाहट होती है ना, ये क्यों होता है
जी।
पता है? क्यों होता है? Why it happens that? Because things which are not mentally clear, and when you're trying to speak, that's what happens,
Yes, yes भाई जी।
Then your sentence is not coming out, and then the listener has a hard time what you're trying to say, because I noticed that you every time when you speak, so much हिचकिचाहट आ जाती है. You're not able to speak any sentence really clearly coming out,
Yes, भाई जी।
Same way, Sanjeev Prabhuji, is he there?
Yes, he is there. Sanjeev Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So आपका भी यही है ये कि अगर things are mentally not absorbed, it will not come out. Then what you say, ऐसा होता है ना, तो क्या होता है कि आपकी जो स्पीच है वो क्लियर नहीं आती है, So that is what you need to learn about it. Mental clarity is very, very important. Then your things will come spontaneously from your mouth, and that will connect you immediately with your listener. Okay,
Yes.
please. This is a constructive criticism. Okay,
Yes.
I'm sorry about that.
No,
But
no,
I'm trying to.
I myself realized it.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead, please. Continue.
Yes, Prabhuji, it is there in my case also.
No, you are not that bad. You are pretty good. Oh, by the way,
Yes.
everyone must congratulate Samata Mataji. Remember, I raised these 2 points in Kalia's defense. How the prosecutors should get the 2 points? They're a little difficult to get it, but Samata Mataji got it. Out of everyone, she got it because it is the free will. Everything is given scriptures. Your karmas and everything is controlled by the Lord. But you still have a free will that the Lord does not interfere, So how, because the way Kalia was presenting that it's none of my fault, you control my karmas, whatever I do, because of the 3 modes of material nature. That verse, actually very important verse in Bhagavad Gita 3:27, 3rd chapter, text 27. मन्यते इति, वो जो वर्स है बहुत बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट वर्स है. तो then so he put it in a very, very convincing manner, actually. Very, very
प्रभुजी प्रकृति क्रियमाणानि गुणे कर्माणि सर्वशः अहंकार विमूढ़ात्मा कर्ता हमिति मन्यते.
Exactly, thank you. So कहने का मतलब क्या है कि the way he put it, exactly, that's none of his fault. He said, you control my karmas. This I as if I'm forcefully, even if I don't want to do it, it happens to me. Same way Duryodhana said that. Duryodhana said exactly the same thing, that I know what is dharma and what is adharma. What I'm doing is adharma, but even though forcefully I'm being pulled by that, so they all try to defend their work, defend their way they behave, but that is not true. Actually, what Krishna says, I've given everything how you have to conduct yourself in the scriptures. Okay, plus my representatives come, and plus I myself come. So you ought to know, just like, in a state, in the government, every day, government has set a set of rules that you should not drive more than 55 miles per hour. But if you drive it, then police are not going to catch. They will catch you only when their radar will pick you up that you are breaking the law. The same way here also, government will not stop you. So Krishna, our laws of karma, it is only when you commit it, but you have a free will. Laws are very clearly, you cannot say that I did not know the law. Ignorance is not your defense. So Kaliya's defense, right there and then, you can kill it by this two segment, 2 points, most important points. Samdha Mataji got the first point, very most important point. It's the free will. Krishna has shown what is the laws, everything, what is karma, vikarma, and akarma. Akarma, whatever you do, both karma and vikarma, there are reactions. Even the good karma has a reaction, what? That you earn pious credits. For that, you need to come back again this material world, which you don't want. And vikarma, obviously, that is a sinful reaction, sinful act, and there is a sinful reaction. You go to the downward, okay? You go to the hellish planets. But then there is a akarma. Whatever you do it for the Lord, then there are no reactions for it, So exactly, that's a free will. You have complete control, and Krishna does not interfere, So that Samdha Mataji got, and everybody ought to really congratulate her. That requires a certain degree of internal understanding, and she got it very well. Thank you. Congratulations, Samdha Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And what was the second point, Prabhuji?
Second point is this. The first point is free will, and Krishna does not interfere with that free will. That is the second point.
Okay.
But you face the consequences. So Krishna has no choice, because he is the one who gives the result of your karma. Positive karma and negative karma, he is the one who gives the result of that. So right there and then, the whole entire defense, even though no matter how persuasive was that, it just falls apart. So Radha Vinod Prabhu is there?
Yes, he is there.
Yeah, he is the one who's going to play a role of a prosecutor. Put it in your own words. Okay, don't memorize this thing. Just internalize, and then the way very clearly, with great clarity, you have to point by point refute Kaliya's defense. And whoever is playing a Kaliya's role, and particularly Kaliya's on behalf, that also has to be put in very nicely. It should come out in a persuasive manner, the way Kaliya put it. If you read my slide, you see it very clearly. Okay, this is what the script will come from Sharat Prabhuji. But no matter how good he writes, the actor has to do that, deliver the dialogue. The director will tell you how to do it, what emotion must come out. But the good actor immerses his own character in that role. Okay. See, when you see an actor in a particular role, you forget who he might be in his real life, actually. Because different kind of roles you play, different kind of character comes out, So that is what the good actor has to immerse himself or herself in the role they play. All right? Hare Krishna. Any feedback on that?
Prabhuji, we'll try our best.
No, you're doing great. Everyone is doing great. Benji, Abhi, I feel very, very encouraged. You are taking so wonderful active part. Obviously, you're doing a lot of your homework, but you will improve a lot with clarity. You'll come out when you internalize, okay?
Yes, Bhaiji.
Mental clarity should be there. The sentence
Yes,
will
yes.
come out, then sentence will come out exactly the way you want it, you know.
Yes, Bhaiji. Yes.
प्रभु जी मैंने भी थोड़ी ट्राई की थी सेकंड पॉइंट लिखने की।
हाँ
आपने पढ़ा था प्रभु जी?
हाँ मैंने पढ़ा था, मगर वो you didn't get that. You the point you raised, that's good, but these 2 points what I was expecting. Did you come out? Did you answer the free will answer that did you give that? I missed it then.
नो प्रभु जी, आई ओनली रोट दैट मतलब इंसान जो है उन्हें स्क्रिप्चर विदाउट स्क्रिप्चर दे शुड नॉट डू मिसडीड, बिकॉज मतलब वी हैव टू फॉलो द स्क्रिप्चर्स। मगर इन द केस ऑफ काल्या द मर्सी 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 बहुत ही ज्यादा, भगवान की मर्सी उन पे बहुत ज्यादा थी, ऐसा मैंने लिखा था।
नहीं, मगर कहने का मतलब क्या है कि how do you put holes in the defense argument, you know? If you read my slide, very clearly it says that what Kalia was saying, that whatever I did, it was not my fault. First of all, I was in a snake's body, okay? And because
तो
snake,
प्रभु जी एनिमल्स को भी कर्म का कर्म लगते हैं?
एक्चुअली कर्म नहीं लगते, मगर उसकी जो पहले की लाइफ तो they have to exactly behave the way they are born, you know? Okay, but I told you that bhakti changes your personality. That why you act in a particular way? Because of the particular combination of the three modes of material nature. And Bhagavan gives exactly that kind of body that will make it perfect for you to carry out your unfulfilled desires from the previous life. That kind of body we get actually, you know, exactly. So you are born to those parents. So there's particular genetic makeup you inherit, okay? So you're born with it. If you're in a dog's body, you're going to bark. That's literally it says. So Kalia's defense was that I was in the snake's body, and snakes are, you know, how they're full of anger. See, when they want to attack, when they want to bite somebody, and if they cannot get the person to bite, they bite right on the ground actually. They hit the hood right on the ground. With that anger they have, that, you know, sarpiyoni, you know. You notice that Rama Lakshmana, right? Rama is very, very, very soft and very this thing. But Lakshmana is impulsive. Immediately he will react with anger. And same is Balaramji. Even though they are God, Balaramji is Supreme Personality Godhead, just like Krishna, you know. But he's a Vibhuti avatar, you know. So not Vibhuti, Vaibhav avatar, you know. So कहने का मतलब क्या है कि Shankarshana, that's a snake, you know. So they react that way. And Balram and Lakshmanji is also considered, you know, Shankarshana avatar. The four brothers, Rama, Lakshmana, Bharat, and Shatrughna, they are the four Chaturvya expansions actually. Sri Ramji, Vasudev expansion. Lakshmanji is Sankarshana. Bharat is Pradyumna, I believe. And the Shatrughna is in the, what is the fourth one?
Vasudev Shankar.
Aniruddha, yes, correct. Yeah. So कहने का मतलब क्या है कि the defense of Kalia was that I'm in the snake body and you gave me the birth because of my karma. And of course my karma, I have to forcefully act in that because the three modes of material nature that you control, your Maya controls me. And this way, so there was actually a case in the court case actually. The lawyer of the person who committed murder, and he said that murder I did, it was not me, but God made me do it. भगवान ने मुझे फोर्स करके बताया क्योंकि मेरा नेचर ऐसा था, you know. So कहने का मतलब यह है कि how do you defend that? Because now how do you attack that kind of defense? This is exactly so. The free will is that you know you cannot say I did not know the law. The laws are very clearly mentioned in scriptures and everywhere. Good conduct. You hear the lectures of sadhus and so on like that, and still, if you do it out of great force and force because of the three modes of material nature make you do it, but you still have a free will. Okay, so कहने का मतलब क्या है कि that free will that भगवान गीता में भी कहते हैं, you know, कि ये जो मेरी माया है, it's very very difficult to counter it, extremely difficult. By your own you cannot do it, but you take my bhakti and automatically maya will be controlled. These three modes of material nature. So the कहने का मतलब क्या है कि how, and that is my whole hypothesis is all about. The clue I got it from scripture, but then I applied my 50 plus years of research on genetics, molecular genetics, you know, that this our physical body goes tremendous transformation by a simple bhakti process. Just because you go to the mandira, temple, and just pay your obeisances, that itself begins transformation of your physical body. So the genes are turned on off, genes that control your personality. Good genes will turn on, that will make you conducive for being a good devotee. Bad genes that gives you that kind of obnoxious personality, those genes are concurrently turned off. So just because you are born that way, you don't need to remain that way. That is the power of your bhakti process. Because Krishna says, Shrotam Sakatha Prashna Shrotam Shrakathaha Pune Shravana Kirtana Hridyantasto Bhadrani, all abhadra, inauspicious things which is within you, I convert, that is all due to Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Mohara, and that is the outer manifestation of the modes of Rajoguna and Tamoguna. So I change that, convert that into Sattva Guna. Okay? Sattam Sanjayate Jnanam Sattam Yad Brahma Darshanam. So when you come to pure mode of goodness, then what happens? He says that Mukta Sangasya Jayate. So you become liberated on that, and then the real pure bhakti begins. Mukta Sangasya Jayate, you know, and the bhakti, and then get the Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam, science of Krishna. So see all the transformation taking place in your physical body. And the way genetically I explained, physical body, then it occurred to me right then, some about 7-8 years ago, that why the physical body changes. It has to do something about the genetics. And that bhakti process is like the environmental signal. Environmental signal plays a great role. Even what kind of food you eat, what kind of thought process goes there. When you are suddenly in a great tension, stress will trigger from your brain, the hypothalamus, you know, and it'll trigger and give you the turning on a particular hormones. Okay, stress come करने के लिए, and that hormone will turn on genes somewhere else. That is the definition of hormone. It produces in one organ, but it acts in the rest of the body. So here also all this process I connected, and my research of genetics, and I invented a lot of things. How do you detect, how do you identify totally unknown genes whose function also we don't know? Those genes, how to detect, how to identify, how to invent, that is on which I got a US patent on that. So all this knowledge, I simply applied what I learned from scriptures. So the way you're born, you're forced to act that way. You have no choice. But you can choice these days. Simply being a bhakti process you come to, that bhakti itself will turn around your personality, totally turn around, and you become a desirable personality. So that's what the defense is right there. You have been given a free will. Come to bhakti platform, that's the Lord is saying indirectly. Hare Krishna. So,
Hare Krishna.
राजकुमारी बहन जी, आप देख रही है ना कि
जी।
जो इतनी सारी जो thinking है, how does it come clearly in my mouth, from my mouth with
जी
clarity? It's
जी
because
जी
it's all internalized. Everything
श्योर
is
भाई जी
whatever
आई
I'm
विल
thinking, it's directly coming out of my mouth.
मनन
So, you know,
मनन मनन
yeah,
करना जरूरी है
बहुत ही जरूरी है, बहुत जरूरी है.
वो मैं करती नहीं हूँ रियली यू आर राइट
आज से स्टार्ट कीजिए. You know,
बिल्कुल
अपना
आई विल
in a Gujarati,
आई विल
Gujarati we have a saying, Raksha Mataji knows, right? Jagyutyati savar, right? When you wake
हाँ
up, you can say
प्रभु जी.
that morning
Yes,
and
very
begin the
true.
process right there. And Sanjeev Prabhuji, you also need to learn this thing. You will be able to speak with clarity. Okay, Hari
from
Bol.
this moment only from this moment I have
Yeah. First,
started
think about it before
Yes,
you
I
speak.
agree.
yes
Hare Krishna,
Alright.
Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, if you give me 2 minutes, I have an example like exactly fitting into that.
Okay.
This is a quick example. It says that there was one Mataji, a lady who had a small son and goes out and snake bites and he dies. So she has a lot of austerity, and with austerity she was really disturbed because the son was
Okay.
only and with austerity she calls the snake back and say, "I'll burn you." Snake says, "It is not my fault." He says, "I have been given the instinct to bite you." And then who is that? The snake says it is coming from Yamadev. So she calls Yamadev, and the Yamadev says it is because his time was up, right? That is the reason the snake bite. So again, who is the responsible? Your karmas, as you are mentioning.
Yeah.
So even the Yamadev said that as per your book, this was your last day, and that is how the snake became just nimitta, right? So just nimitta, nothing else is there.
But you know how the Mahabharata was narrated? Parikshit's son, Janmejay, after Parikshit died because of the bite from Takshaka snake, his son was very, very upset. And then because of his great power, austerity and all this thing, he did the Sarpa Yagya. So all this, he wanted to completely destroy the very race of snakes. So when he performed the Yagya, all these snakes around the universe, they were forced to come and get burned right in the Yagya. Okay. And then he was advised, don't do that. Exactly like what happened to Prahlad Maharaj, not Prahlad, not Prahlad, but Dhruva Maharaj, I think, right? That when he was doing this thing, and then his father, Swayambhu Manu, came to advise him, don't do that, because he was killing all the yakshas. Because his younger brother, it was not, his younger brother was killed, by a Gandharva. So he wanted to take a revenge on that, but then his father came to advise him, don't do that, that you are killing innocent people. Only one person did something to you, and then even then also he did not listen. Brahmaji had to himself come there, explain. So here, this Janmejaya, when he was doing Sarpa Yagya, finally he had to listen, to his advisors, and that's why the Mahabharata was narrated. That personality whose name I just didn't occur to me, name doesn't come to me, but क्या नाम है उसका शरद प्रभु जी उसका जो that Mahabharata was narrated to Janmejaya.
Sanjay.
I forgot his name actually. It was tip of my tongue actually,
बोलिए
Was it
okay.
Maitreya?
Uddhava.
No, not Uddhava. No, not Uddhava. Not Uddhava.
Maitreya Muni? Maitreya Muni?
Maitreya Muni में नहीं. ये महाभारत में आती है story. At the very beginning of Mahabharata, Janmejaya was then given the story of Mahabharata.
And then he was afflicted by leprosy.
Jaimini.
No, wait.
Jaimini.
No, not Jaimini either. No, not Jaimini. I'll find out and tell you that.
Okay.
That story of Mahabharata was narrated to Janmejaya. he actually recites basically from Vyasa's Mahabharata. Of course, he narrates that, you know. So आप लोग समझते हैं कहने का मतलब ये है कि bhakti process is so powerful, it changes your personality, totally turns around, you know, no matter who you were before. In real life also, that is, I took the observation of a 100-year history. Those who come,
It was
yeah,
Vaishampayana.
those were, yeah, Vaishampayana, that's correct. That's the one right answer. Thank you, Mataji. So ye jo hai personality, no matter how previous to come into play, most devotee, if you see that, what is the personality we had before, obnoxious personality, that completely changes. And the very first thing happens is we become humble. You know, that 20 qualities that's listed in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, as a result of bhakti process, Krishna released those 20 qualities. And the first and the foremost is this. Then, of course, you accept a guru and come to the spiritual platform. And from that day one, the personality begins to change. Hare Krishna, go ahead. Sorry about these interruptions.
Actually, in Vishnu Sahasranama, there is a verse also on this Sri Vaishampayana Vacha, and he narrates it.
The whole entire Mahabharata story, Parikshit was given to that, how his fathers and Parikshit was his father, but Parikshit's father, of course, is Arjuna, and so on, all the Pandavas, and same. The story is given to him. Then, you know. Hare Krishna. Yeah, please continue. Sorry about it. I took a lot of time now. I think I eaten up all the time now. Not much time for discussion now. Sharad Prabhu, you want to make a last words?
Yes, Prabhuji. I'll tell you what Kaliya was, how somebody became a Kaliya, what is the story of his previous life. This is also very interesting. There were two rishis. One was Vedasira Rishi and the other was Aswasira Rishi. Now, during this Swayambhuva Manvantara, this Vedasira Muni, who was a descendant of Bhrigu Muni, he performed severe austerities in Vindhya hills. Then one day, another rishi named Aswasira Muni, he came to perform austerities at his ashrama, that is Vedasira Rishi's ashrama. Now, witnessing this, Vedasira Rishi, he became very angry. He said, how can you come and perform austerities at my ashrama? Is there no other place where you can perform austerities? Now this Aswasira Muni, he became very angry and he said, this place belongs to Mahavishnu. It does not belong to you or me. There are so many sages in the past who have performed austerities here. Now you are angry for no reason and you are hissing like a snake. So you become a snake. And I curse you that you will be terrified by Garuda. Then Vedasira Muni, he said, for a slight offense, you are cursing me like this, then you will also become like a crow. I curse you to become a crow. Now, when Lord Vishnu, then hearing their conversation, he appeared and he consoled both the sages. Now they were very, very unhappy because of the curses. But Lord Vishnu said that, dear sages, you both are equally devoted to me. You are like my two arms in my body. And I can make my own words false, but I do not wish to allow the words of my devotee to become false. That is my vow. then he told Vedasira Muni, I will place my footprints on your head. Because of them, you will never fear Garuda. And he addressed Aswasira Muni and told them, don't lament. You will have the form of a crow, but you will have the transcendental knowledge. You will have all the yoga siddhis and the highest knowledge in the three worlds. Then Lord Vishnu departed. And because of these curses, this Muni, Vedasira Muni, he became Kaliya, and Aswasira Muni, he became a crow, that is Kakabhusundi. And it is given in Krishna Sandarbha by Bhaktivinoda Thakura that Khalata or Krurata or malice, it pollutes Yamuna, the spiritual liquid of the Vaishnavas. Then there was mention of the story of Kaliya, which is given in the Harivansa Purana. I'll just tell the last part in just 2 minutes or so. Now, when Krishna was in the coils of Kaliya, that time at that time Balarama was seeing that he came, and he suddenly ordered him, destroy this king of serpents, Kaliya, because his only weapon is the poison only. And when Krishna heard these words of Sankarsana, he immediately freed himself and he began to challenge him. Then what happened? He kicked Kaliya in his with his lotus feet, and Krishna grabbed one of Kaliya's heads. Then at that time he saw blood coming from his mouth. Now at that Kaliya said that you have already chastised me. Now my pride and poison have been vanquished, and now I surrender unto you. Then he also prayed that my life be spared because I am taking shelter of you. Then what happened? He said, if I ever, Krishna said, if I ever find a snake within the water of Yamuna, even if he is your servant or son, I will kill him, no doubt. And therefore, you get out from the waters of this Yamuna and go somewhere else. And he also left his footmarks on the head of Kaliya. Now, please remember that Kaliya had 1,000 heads. And thereafter, Kaliya departed from that lake, which is within Yamuna. So this is what is the story given in part. I told you part of the story which is given in the Harivansa Purana. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna Prabhuji. Sorry, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Sarat Prabhuji. Thank you so much for sharing this previous lifetimes of. But my question is, they are so highly elevated and highly realized, not like us. I mean, we get so agitated by the modes of material nature. How such realized souls, even the Sanatan, the Kumaras, 4 Kumaras, they also got angry. I mean, of course, they are nimitta, but then isn't that they should be setting an example to be very tolerant and
No,
getting angry the least?
Their anger and all these things. No, all these 6 vices of mind that we have, there's a spiritual part of it also, spiritual part of it. So the anger, Hanumanji had anger too also, right? Which he showed in the Ravan's Sabha. But those anger is used for the Lord when somebody blasphemes your spiritual master or the Supreme Lord, then you need to speak out, So all these things, anger, envy, everything is there. The spiritual segment also is there, spiritual part of it, So you have to understand from there. when the Narad Muni curses someone or the great sages curse someone, it's not because of that anger on the material platform. See, look at every time the sages curse someone, it's always for their own benefit. Narada cursed that Manigriv and the two sons of Kuvera, Nal Kuvera and Manigriv, the sons of Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigods. And he said that he put them, but eventually you are going to be rescued by this Lord Shri Krishna himself. You know, so their curses always ends up as a benefit, great benedictions to the person. Always. Durvasa Muni is well known for anger, right? Durvasa Muni is to left and right is to curse people. But Durvasa Muni also a great devotee of the Lord.
Yes, but Nal Kuvera, at least I can understand that they were like, disrespectful. Whereas in this case, Veda Shira Muni and Ashwa Shira Muni, they were like, it was like such a subtle, small thing, silly thing, like they got angry over each other. And, sometimes it's very...
Then Lalita Bhattacharya, let me tell you some other story about them. Okay, who was Vidur Mahatma? You know what happened? Vidur Mahatma is Dharmaraja himself actually. Yudhishthira Maharaj is Dharmaraja's avatara, okay, incarnation of that. But Vidur Mahatma is Dharmaraja himself. He was forced to come because you know what happened? I forgot another name actually. Who was sent for a very minor crime, very minor. He was sent and Yamaraj ruled him and punished him for that. So then he said that as a child I did that thing and you are giving me such big punishment. So you need to learn yourself and be born in the Mrutiloka. So he came as a Vidur Mahatma. Of course, Vidur Mahatma was great knowledgeable person, but he had to be born as a Shudra Yoni. He had to be born from that Dasi, Ambalika's Dasi she was, So when Vyasa Muni came, forced by Satyavati that you produce a child in my widows, Vichitra Vidyas with two widows, Ambalika and what is the third name? So that is very exemplified precisely what you're trying to say exactly. So even Yamaraja had to come because that sage cursed, because you said that your crime, your punishment for my crime does not fit. I was a little child,
Yes. He used to kill the ants or something that the sage used to.
Yes. Hey, because these stories, they are given in different Puranas. Now there is no time. Otherwise, one day I'll tell you this Kumaraj. There is another story also from Vishnu's side. What happened? What he said, and Jay and Vijay, they did not obey. That's why he cursed them. Actually, he wanted that to happen. That story I'll tell you sometime because now today
we are way off now. We'll continue.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
But everything is happening because of the Lord's will. The Lord wanted that. That's why it happened. And the various leelas, they have to take place and people have to take part in that. That's why all these events, they are channelized toward that. So that is what ultimately is happening.
प्रभु जी, यमराज की स्टोरी में वैसा भी है कि यमराज जी इतने बिजी रहते हैं कि उनको कुछ भगवान की सेवा करने का टाइम नहीं मिलता। एज वो 12 महाजनों में से भी एक है यमराज जी, मगर इतने बिजी है, मगर उन्होंने भगवान को प्रार्थना किया था कि मुझे आपकी सेवा करनी है। तो ये पूरा लीला बना था कि वो विदुर जी के रूप में आए और भगवान को सर्व कर सके। वो भागवतम में है, फर्स्ट कैंटो में।
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Okay, I think it's time to conclude the class now.
Single prayers with
Samta Mataji, please do. Samta Mataji.
Okay, sorry, please, I was away. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladadayini. Praladadayini. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Hilatanka Nakalaya. Hilatanka Nakalaya. To Narsimha Parato Narsimha. To Narsimha Parato Narsimha. Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimha. Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimha. Mahi Narsimha Hridaye Narsimha. Mahi Narsimha Hridaye Narsimha. Narasimhamadin Sharanam Prapade. Narasimhamadin Sharanam Prapade. Tava Karakamalavare Adbhuta Shringam Talita Hiranyakashipu Tanubhringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Tava Karakamalavare Mukam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubhringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jayo Narsimhadev, 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 Jayo Narsimhadev. Jai Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam to
Thank
all.
you. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you so much. And please pardon me if I committed any offense, okay? Hari Bol.
Very well.
So,
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna,
Prabhuji. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, it was Manduka Muni against whom Yamaraj had committed an offense.
yes, correct. Yes, that's right. And Mandak Muni, that when he committed, he was a child actually.
He was a
He
child.
committed
Yes.
offense, a very minor crime. For that, he had Yamaraj had to rule him and give him punishment to come back.
Yes.
So then, in return, he said that you need to take birth also now. You need to learn yourself that how in human that happens actually, and that's why he came as a Vidur Mahatma. Hari Bol. Thank you.
Thank you,
प्रभुजी
Prabhuji.
प्रभुजी मुनि जो होते हैं वो उनके डेफिनेशन ही वही है ना प्रभुजी की वो
Yeah,
एक
Prabhupada
दूसरे
gives a
के
nice definition.
ओपिनियन से मिलते ही
Yeah,
नहीं है
you
कभी
need to
मैच
give,
नहीं
need to
होते
give some different opinions, varied opinions.
हाँ
Unless
इट इज
and until you do that, you're not a Muni.
हाँ राइट राइट
Prabhupada gives
ओके
one of the
प्रभुजी
purport. He gives the definition.
यस प्रभुजी थैंक यू
Okay,
प्रभुजी
thank you.
दंडवत प्रणाम
Thank
यू
you.
टू
Have a wonderful
नेक्स्ट
week
वीक
ahead.
थैंक यू प्रभुजी दंडवत
Thank you,
प्रणाम शरद
Prabhuji. Dandavat
प्रभुजी
pranam.
ऑल डिवोटीज
Dandavat pranam
Thank
to
you,
all.
Sanjeev Prabhuji. Sarath Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Prasad Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.